Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hi, hello-y, my name is Loey, and it has been such a good year for Glitch in the Matrix TikToks here on my YouTube channel. And if you're unfamiliar with the term, well, don't you worry, because today we're going to be taking a look at every single Glitch in the Matrix TikTok that I posted about this year. In total, there's more than 60. I'm gonna just say 60 because it sounds like a better number. But these videos rely on the theory that our reality in some way, shape, or form is a simulation. Basically, the Matrix. And so reality is capable of glitching out on us sometimes. That can manifest in really tiny ways. You know you set a cup down in one particular spot, but not only is it not there, you find it somewhere else 2 days later, and now there's two of it. Or you experience something in your reality that nobody else has any memory of. From Mandela effects to people's personal, scary stories about the times that they experienced a glitch in the Matrix, I have something here that will freak absolutely anyone out. Without any further ado, get yourself a drink and a snack and settle in, and let's watch these Glitch in the Matrix TikToks together. And I don't know how to start this video without just immediately jumping into the TikTok time traveler saga, because you guys have been tagging me in these videos from TikTok user alecschaal for weeks now. And I understand why, because this guy posted a TikTok that supposedly shows a real time traveler entering a shed in the backyard of one of his rental properties. Now, I know what that sounds like, but watch this TikTok for me and just keep in mind that this is just the beginning.
This dude's coming onto my property to what looks like rob my house, but it actually turns out he is a time traveler. And let me show you that. I literally can't even make this up. Like, if I wanted to make this up, it blows my mind. This just happened yesterday. So as you can see, he's wandering around my backyard. I don't know what he's trying to do. Now he's like thinking like where to go, and he actually ends up going into my shed. So you can see he opens it, goes into the shed. So I'm fast forwarding the time so you can see there's no movement. He never leaves the shed. And I'm talking on the camera. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Why are you in my shed? Never answers. He never leaves the shed. I literally was watching it the whole time. So I end up calling the police. You could see in the last one, the police coming through the front yard. And then here's the police coming into the backyard. And you can see they literally go inside. They go inside and I'm talking to them. Then they go inside again. Like they're inside there. And they come out and he's not there. And like I've been watching this backdoor camera the whole entire time and he never left.
So, strange man enters this guy's backyard. He is surveying it from his security cameras. He's got everything on a Ring doorbell cam. He watches this man go into his shed and never come back out. Now that's a pretty big claim. A time traveler just entered your yard, went into your shed, and never came back out. Surely there is a better explanation. Well, this poster lives like 5 hours away from the property and couldn't get there like right away to go and scope the whole place out himself. He did what he could to look further into this and shared what he would end up finding with his followers. People immediately had a lot of theories that were much more based in reality than the idea of a time traveler in a shed. Some believing that this is straight up a hoax, believing that the poster purposefully skipped over a part of the video where the strange guy left. Others thinking that it has to be some kind of a camera glitch, like that the Ring camera just isn't that high quality and skipped a couple of frames and the guy just, I guess, darted out right then and disappeared somehow. So Alec follows up with the full video of the time traveler entering the shed and never leaving.
A lot of people wanted to see the full video of what this guy does before going into my shed and disappearing and teleporting, whatever. So this is the full video with sound. So you hear if he talks. He does talk at some point here. I've watched this so many times to see, but you can see him like wandering around, like he throws up his arms. He's about to talk. See, he talks right there. He says, damn, like what is he looking for? Like he's being super mysterious. And then he goes into the shed. So he's wandering around, then goes into the shed and closes the door there.
Now this is where this story gets truly unnerving, unbelievable, and yet at this point, I'm so invested. The following day, after all of this took place, Alex saw that somebody left his shed. Now, once again, the police were out there looking at the shed. There was nobody inside of the shed when they were looking into it. And there's actually a video I'll show you later, much more of a thorough, I guess, like investigation of the shed. I think that the police really, really thoroughly searched it. I don't think anyone was there. So we have a man who entered it and never left the day before. And then the following day, a much older man leaves the shed without ever having entered it.
So just a quick recap. This guy walks around my backyard, goes to my shed, opens the door, goes inside, and disappears. Called the cops came, they went in the shed twice. He wasn't in there. They looked. I looked like an insane guy. The cops were like, what is this guy smoking? And you can see he never came back until the next day right here. Notification on my camera that there's somebody in my backyard, and this guy leaves my shed. And he looks right at the camera too. That guy left my shed. But here's the craziest part. This looks like the same guy, maybe, glasses, whatever. Let's look at the other guy. This was the other guy. He noticeably aged. Looks like the same guy, but aged. So him again, and now him. Same facial features, whiter hair. So I don't even know what to think at this point. Somebody explain this.
People were so freaked out by this. So many pointing out that this guy literally looks like an aged up version of the person that had been seen entering the shed. What if this shed is somehow a portal? This guy knew it somehow and used it to time travel and came back as an older version of himself. That would be pretty far-fetched, of course, but we have a young man entering the shed, never leaving, basically disappearing, and the next day we have an old man coming out of it after no footage of him ever entering. And people were losing their minds. These videos were getting millions of views. You guys were tagging me by the dozens, just saying, Lo, time travel TikTok has arrived. And Alec did what he could to keep people updated. But once again, he lives really far away from the home that has this shed on the property. So in the meantime, between him going to go and check the whole thing out, he shows a little bit more footage of the shed that he already has on his phone.
I will be putting a camera in the shed to catch the time traveler, I promise. The house that you see here with the shed there, that house is 5 hours away from where I live. It's an investment property, an Airbnb. And once I go, I'm going next weekend, I will put the camera there and I will videotape the shed, me walking into the shed, and videotape me putting a camera in the shed. And, you know, we'll see what's going on there. I'll investigate for tunnels and everything that everybody keeps telling me to do. I also do have another shed. I didn't see anything suspicious with that one though. It's just been that shed. But yeah, just in case you don't know, that shed has one entrance, no windows, only one door. It's a concrete block. So like there isn't a way to dig a tunnel underneath. For some reason, this is the only picture I have inside my shed of some guys installing a washer dryer. But you can kind of see inside the shed. You know, you could see that it's all walled in. There's no windows.
So he said he's gonna be looking for tunnels, for secret entrances or exits that people could be using in some way. But the whole thing is just really strange. Why would they be specifically going into the shed? Remember, this is just a shed on the property. If somebody is purposefully, I guess, just trying to go in and out of this shed, if people are using it to go in and out, wouldn't they just do that to the house? What would the point be of going in and out of this shed like this? Like, why would this shed be a top secret location? Alec also around this time releases a full video of the police coming to the property to look for the time traveler. Now he communicates with the police over the Ring doorbell camera. He's also like very apologetic when they don't find anyone. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm telling you, I saw what I saw. He also says that he never would have wasted the police's time on like a hoax. He wouldn't have I don't know, called them out to the property if he thought this was anything other than someone actually going into his shed and just staying there for some reason. So here's the full Ring doorbell footage of him talking to the police, of the police checking out the shed, and all of that.
People are saying the cops are fake and actors, so I'm going to show you the full recording of the cops coming, them going into the shed twice, and they even pull out at one point because like they're real cops. And I talked to them a little bit. See, at this part you can see I'm talking to them. So let's go through that recording. So here's the recording with sound. It's a little long, so I'm going to kind of skim through it at some parts. But you can see they walk in, they yell police, they walk in with guns in a little bit right there. So at this point, they're like, there's nothing there. They go to my back door to like see if, you know, he broke in there. And then this is when I start talking to them here. So you hear me talk to them.
Hey, can you hear me? Yes, sir. Hello?
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Was he not in that shed?
No, he was not. There's nobody in there. Both sheds.
Okay, I'm sorry for wasting your guys' time. I really didn't see him leave the shed though. So I don't know how he's not in there.
All right.
They go in again. See, now they're going in again. And like they go in deep this time. Like they go all the way in.
There's a light in there too.
Still talking.
Yeah.
See, nothing.
So, I mean, we don't like get a look inside of the shed. I guess we don't see with our own two eyeballs that no one is there, but we definitely see that the police are checking it out. They go back multiple times, they're looking around, and they don't find anyone or anything. Now, I want to say that the following two videos are just theories. One entirely based on facts and a real person, while the other is based on fiction. And specifically, we'll talk about a Stephen King story with an eerily similar plot to this entire thing. But this first video that I'm going to show you essentially starts out with Alex saying that they found the time traveler. And this was found by a TikTok user named Maddie Ice, who was looking further into the whole time traveler shenanigan, who stumbled across something bizarre while looking further into this TikTok story.
This guy named Maddie Ice, he's been looking into this a lot. It's funny because he actually made a skit on part 1, kind of like making fun of me, but now he's come around to actually looking into this because this is real. So he's been looking into this story and he found some crazy evidence. To start this off, I don't support reaching out to anybody's families or anything like that. This is all speculative, but evidence kind of makes sense. So what he did is he did a reverse image search and he found this guy who looks pretty similar to our boy here. The easy part is this guy was obsessed with time travel. And you can see 9 years ago, he used to post on blogs talking about time travel and how it works. So he graduated from Harvard University, which is, you know, obviously impressive. So this guy knew his stuff. He was obsessed with time travel and he looks like our guy. So it's like, okay, it's probably him then, right? This guy died in 2018, 6 years ago, which by the way, how is 2018 6 years ago? That's crazy in its own. But 6 years ago, this guy died, but he looks the same and he was obsessed with time travel. We also found this, which is family members saying they miss him and that they, you know, love him and stuff like that in November 2018. We also found this, which is the same thing talking about his death, July of 2017. So this one also says he died in July of 2018, but then they posted in 2017. It's possible that they edited this text to, you know, give him a shout out how he passed away. Maybe his picture was posted beforehand, but still a little fishy, right? It's in 2017 saying, you know, he died in 2018.
I want to reiterate here what Alex said, that this is a theory. It is not fact. Very clearly, there is like an obituary for this man, and nobody should be bothering his family or asking them questions about anything like this. But everything about it is truly bizarre. It's a strange coincidence. And it's really startling because going through the photos, like from this man, Steven, to the time traveler, they do look really, really similar. However, we have one single angle at this guy, right? We haven't seen much else. So could they just look similar? Of course. I mean, this is just an older gentleman with white hair and glasses. It could just be that we are seeing these images side by side and that people had drawn a link here that doesn't exist. And I just want to say that. I want to throw out there that I am not like sitting there saying that this man is somehow this TikTok time traveler, but it is weird. And actually, before I show you the next video that's kind of like a theory slash just more weird coincidences around this, I'm going to show you another TikTok that was posted by Alec, where he shows where the time traveler went after he left the shed. Once again, we're talking about the older gentleman here who exited the shed without ever having entered it, as far as we can tell.
So the time traveler leaves the shed the next day and goes off screen. And a lot of people think I'm hiding the front camera footage of him leaving because they think this is a skit. So let's look at the front camera and see where he goes. To the front camera, you can see him walking to the front. I did turn off the sound because all the cars driving by, so it's loud, but he's whistling. He's like, I can't whistle, but he's whistling. But yeah, he's looking sus. He walks out the gate. He's looking back at the house. Like, I don't know what he's looking at. You know, suspiciously crosses the street. And then there's a car here. And this is a really weird interaction that's about to happen because he goes up to this car and he like looks through the passenger window, and then it's gonna stutter a little bit because it's going between clips, but he looks through the passenger window and then just continues walking. I can't even make this up. Like, I don't know what he's doing. And then he literally just walks off, and that's the end of him. Like, that's the last I've seen of him. Now, this part's a little creepy because when he looked through the car, it looked like nobody was in the car. Like, that car was sitting there for a little bit. But then right as he walks off the screen, the car then turns, does a little 3-point turn, and drives off. And it's really suspicious. Like, the car's following him now.
Now, when he walks up to the car, I don't think it looks like anybody is in there. But could that have been on purpose? Could it have been someone purposefully trying to hide from the cameras? And the way he walks up to the car that's parked on the street, kind of like taps it, almost like he's giving like a sign. And then he clearly goes to the window to talk to somebody. It doesn't look like anybody's in that car, but then suddenly it makes like a 5-point turn and then drives away. Meanwhile, that man just walked off camera. Now, around this point, a lot of people after seeing this video in particular were like, oh man, this is not a glitch in the Matrix. Your home is getting cased, dude. Like, people are watching your home trying to break into it. And I saw a lot of people say that, but the only thing that doesn't make sense is how did the second time traveler, the second man, how did he get in the shed in the first place? Because if there's no footage of him going in, why is he suddenly walking out? Okay, but this is literally so weird. Alec then posts a video talking about, not really, I guess, everything going on with the shed, but rather the fact that there is a Stephen King book out there, a very recent one in fact, in which he talks about a shed in which there is a portal for time travel purposes. Like, goosebumps. I literally have goosebumps. It is so eerie.
Stephen King, you probably know him. He's a well-known author. He's known as the king of horror books. He's very well known. He does eerily resemble a time traveler, as you can see here, but that's not what this is about. Stephen King is the author of this book called Fairy Tale. He wrote just 2 years ago, so it's very recent. But what this book is about is gonna blow your mind. Like, it's insane. This is a quick disclaimer. I never read this book prior to, making these videos. I don't really read that much. And if I do read, it's more like educational or like real estate books. It's not about like fantasy novels or horror. I hate horror. Long story short, what this book is about is there's an older guy. He has a shed in his backyard, and the shed has a staircase in it that leads to another realm with a fountain of youth. This is just a quick little snippet. Before his demise, he reveals that he is 120 years old and mentioned a gateway to another realm located in his shed. What? This is crazy right here, but there's more. So the chapters, I thought the chapter names were pretty interesting. So chapter 3 is called A Hospital Visit, Quitters Never Win, and The Shed. Chapter 9 is called The Thing in the Shed. Chapter 17 is A Night in the Storage Shed, which, by the way, my shed is kind of a storage shed. It has a washer, dryer, and a water heater, and then like a couple shelves for storage. This sentence right here is pretty crazy. He talks about how there's a staircase in the shed, and he's afraid that if it goes into the wrong hands, people will exploit it. And this one's wild. Somebody went in the shed and shot something. I believe the book ends here where they seal the shed so nobody else can find it and exploit it.
What are the odds of that? Literally, what are the odds of that? Because Stephen King has so many stories, so many books, like so many different mediums and modes of horror, and he is probably my favorite author. And I had never heard of this story. Maybe I just live under a rock, but fairy tale, a story that includes a time-traveling shed, or not really a time-traveling shed. The shed remains stationary, but a shed that is used for time travel purposes. A time-traveling shed. Finally, a couple of days ago as I'm filming this, Alec made his way to the Airbnb and gave us a tour of the property, the shed, and kind of debunked a lot of what people were saying. Things like there had to be a tunnel, there had to be a secret door, there had to be a trap door, they were hiding in the washing machine, whatever. He shows the shed here at last.
Here it is. Put a lock on it. Let me get this lock off and let's inspect it. Quick little shed tour. The dryer, which is broken and super dirty. This is a little light. So when the police came in here, they went right here, they looked around, they didn't see anything. The washer is also broken. So you can see like pieces are broken off and it's yellow inside. Nothing works. I don't know what's going on with that. You got just laundry stuff, all empty. I don't know how it's empty because nobody does laundry. This is my new water heater. Just some wood and cardboard boxes. He left the backpack behind and we didn't see it, so there's no backpack in there. There's no backpack behind it. Just a bunch of blinds. There's nothing. It's just normal stuff. Yeah, where would it be? We have a couple gaps. There's no way anybody could fit through these. Oof. As you can see, all the walls are all solid. There's nowhere else that he could have gone. He came from this way right here. So he walked around the side here, went to the shed there, and then the guy left coming out of here that way.
Now, there have been other videos on this, but that's gonna kind of be where I cap out this story in terms of the TikToks. I still have a lot of thoughts. And I think Alec has done his best in following videos to, I don't know, just kind of combat the naysayers, disprove any theories that people might have. For example, he tries to climb into the washing machine and proves that like a full-grown man could not fit in the washing machine or anything in this shed. Like, he definitely goes out of his way to try to dispel a lot of the more popular debunks of this whole thing. I don't think that he necessarily knows what's going on here either. I think that this whole thing blew up really fast. In one of his videos, he was talking about how I think the entire saga has gotten like 20 million views. And while I cannot sit here and tell you for sure that there is or is not a time traveling portal in that shed, I think this entire thing is really weird. I think it's weird that a young man or a younger man went into that shed and then a day later an older man exited without ever having entered. That is weird. That is a glitch in the matrix. Now, whether or not there's like nefarious stuff going on here, if it's not necessarily like a supernatural phenomena, I would be having the exact same reaction that this guy is. And look, while there are probably a million reasons under the sun why this could logically be explained away, from people trying to case his house to, I don't know, squatters in his shed or something like that, at the end of the day, this is a really weird story, and I really want to know, do you guys believe in the TikTok time traveler or not? This was honestly the reason I wanted to make an updated Glitch in the Matrix TikTok video. This entire story is just so crazy to me. And since all of this started and Alec now is at the property, he has been live streaming from the shed, doing different things, inviting out a psychic and all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to keep up with the story as it continues, make sure to check out Alec's TikTok account. I will have him as well as everybody else that I mentioned in this video listed down below. I don't know. I'm curious to know what you guys think, because while I don't think that I'm fully on board with the idea that this is like a time traveling portal, I think there's something spooky to a younger man going into that shed and then an older man who looks a lot like him walking back out a day later. Now, you might have already noticed this, but that is most of the TikToks that we have to talk about today. We do still have 4 more that I'm going to be sharing with you, but usually these Glitch in the Matrix videos, they take me a really long time to do because Glitch in the Matrix videos just aren't as popular as paranormal content, as other horror content. And when you guys tag me in TikToks, here's a little behind the scenes of how this all works. When you tag me in a TikTok and I think it's scary, I'll go ahead and download it and I will sort it into different folders on my phone. So we have Glitch in the Matrix TikToks, we have paranormal TikToks, we have analog horror TikToks, and the list just continues. And Glitch in the Matrix videos just take me the longest to get together because there's not really much of a way to search for them. If you look Glitch in the Matrix on TikTok, I've seen most of the videos that pop up. So the only way that I find them is when you guys tag me in your spooky finds. Make sure to follow me on TikTok over at loeybugxo and give me a tag if you ever stumbled across a creepy video. The next TikTok is really dark. It's a big departure from the fun time traveling saga we've been talking about so far. And it comes from TikTok user bellallawrence, who says, "The time I had a nightmare that a man was fatally stabbing me in my chest after going on a date with him. 3 weeks later, I met him for the first time in real life at a Starbucks, and he asked me for my number." And this has stuck with me. I have thought about this video like every single day since I watched it for the first time, because the idea that somehow your brain and body could know of an event that has yet to even pass, you haven't even met this person yet, but that you could know, so that you could send yourself the warning sign so that you don't end up in a fatal situation, that's just so crazy and yet not crazy to me. Like, I completely believe her story. I 100% believe this one. People think that this one is a glitch in the Matrix because maybe she hopped timelines. Maybe she came to this reality with the knowledge of what would be to pass if she gave that man her phone number. No matter what, I'm just so glad she's okay. And that one just really got to me. Like, my heart drops every single time that I think about this story. I might be completely butchering this username, but I think it's reaprater. And it is captioned, "As a kid, I constantly had dreams that I had a little brother with red hair. I was also terrified of moving into a previously owned house because it might be haunted." Then there's this photo. Me as a teen standing in a window reflection that faced our back porch in a brand new house. And if you look in the background, you can see the silhouette of what looks like a red-haired boy sitting beside her. She says, "I zoomed in because I thought our porch furniture looked odd." Could this be a glitch where she had a brother in a different reality and remembers him for some reason or another, despite the fact that he doesn't exist in this world? Or could it be paranormal? I don't know. But again, this is one I've thought a lot about. The idea that you could have, I don't know, family or people that you know exist, or that you just have like weird memories of or dreams of, only to be confronted with like the real life manifestation of them, like this kid in the window. I don't know, it's giving Reddit lamp guy. I literally just love to drag anything back to Reddit lamp guy, man. That's all I really want this lifetime, is to talk about the Reddit lamp story more. But Reddit lamp guy, if you're unfamiliar with the story, there was this guy who went viral on Reddit many years ago because he was knocked out, and while he was unconscious on the ground for a very short period of time, he lived a full life. Married a woman, had 2 beautiful children with her, And then one day it all came crashing down when he was in the living room and he noticed something was wrong about the lamp. After this experience, he woke up in his own reality, still with all of these memories, but now knowing that none of them were real. That's just so scary to me. Obviously, this is not quite the same, but just reminded me of that, and I thought it was really eerie. The last TikTok/story I wanted to share with you today is a long one, but a good one, and it comes from TikTok user underthecapricornsun, or Sarah James. Now, Sarah, I was kind of digging through her account, is somebody who talks about her experiences with lucid dreaming quite often. She has like a whole multi-part playlist on just weird dreams or lucid dreams that she's had in the past. I think that's really, really cool. I am somebody who has only lucid dreamed a handful of times. One time it was very, very wholesome. I had a dream that I went to Disneyland with my dad after he passed away. And when I was just staring at him like, you are not here, you died. He was just like hugging me and saying, just enjoy the dream. And that was like one of the times that I knew. But the other times that I've ever lucid dreamed, it got very scary for me very quickly. Like I would realize that I was dreaming and then oh God, it makes me so creeped out. Every single head in a room would turn towards me. I would realize I was in a dream. And like, let's say I'm in a cafe and every single person in the cafe would suddenly turn to look at me and I would wake up immediately because it was so scary. So I don't have that much experience with lucid dreaming. Let me just preface with that. But to me, this sounds like a genuine, like, glitch in the matrix. And Sarah even says that herself at the beginning of this video, says like, I just had a genuine, we're in the matrix, we are in a simulation type of dream. Again, she's a lucid dreamer. She's been doing this for a while. At the slightest mention of something not being quite right, she wakes up because she's just used to lucid dreaming at this point. So one night, Sarah has this dream. She's like 17 years old in her parents' home. She's in her bedroom just playing piano, a very normal, mundane thing seemingly for her to experience. When suddenly she got this overwhelming feeling, she didn't really know she was in a dream at this point, but then she gets this feeling like, if I look out the window right now, something is not going to be right out there. It's not going to look like the normal view I would see from my parents' house. And when she checked, it certainly was not.
So I look out the window, sure enough, you know, there's dream characters everywhere, there's streets, it's like a whole circus outside. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm dreaming. But I didn't want to say that out loud. And I was alone in my bedroom. So I was like, okay, so there's no dream characters here to kind of like take me away, no dream police. So I sit down and I'm like, I'm just going to play the piano. I'm just going to sing. I'm just going to try to be creative in this space. Hopefully I don't wake up and that'll be fine. I'll just be kind of lucid here. So I'm playing the piano and my fingers start doing that dream thing where you're like kind of getting sucked into stuff. The piano's kind of being weird. And so I get a little bit freaked out and I go like, I'm dreaming, like stop, like whatever. So immediately when I'm like, I'm dreaming, cut. Immediately the piano stops being weird, like the room stops being weird. I kind of like look over to the door. There's a woman standing there with a clipboard.
So the dream transforms at this point. It looks as though Sarah is in like a VR space. Everything looks like, I don't know, like the Matrix, literally like the Matrix. The way she's describing this, it just sounds like she's in a simulation. And that's when she's told that she was supposed to wake up.
I'm in this room. This girl's there. She's got like a little pixie cut. She's like, oh, you gotta go. Like, she got the clipboard. I'm like, okay, I know I gotta go. But I'm like, can you just like answer some questions for me? So she comes over, I'm sitting on my bed. And as I'm asking her these questions about like why I have to leave and why I keep waking up in my dreams, I'm kind of looking around and all of a sudden like the walls start to be weird. It kind of starts like glitching. Like it's like, am I in some sort of like weird white room that has like lines and it's almost like a projected virtual reality? Like that's what it looked like. So as this like dream woman's talking to me, suddenly everything turns into this very like, it's a virtual reality space and it's almost like the VR dies and this other woman is standing there and she's like, she gets real weird. She's like, oh my God, no, like I have to fix this. What? She's like, you were supposed to wake up. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you're just like not supposed to be able to access this space while you're in a dream. Like you should not be here. And I don't know how you got here. And like, we are going to be in a lot of trouble. And I was like, what do you mean by we? So essentially, she takes me out of this room and we are on some sort of like a spacecraft, and she takes me over to this screen. It's like in the wall, and it's showing like past dreams that I've had from like this camera perspective, and I'm seeing them, and I remember that I've had these dreams. I'm like, how do you have access to this? She's like, I actually have this whole file on you. Like, we've been watching you, and like essentially, you know, like we know that you can lucid dream, like, but you're not supposed to be able to leave the dream and come into like what is here reality. And I'm on literally, it's like a spacecraft, but it was very weird. And essentially, she keeps showing me like the moments in dreams when I become awake. And she's like, humans aren't supposed to be able to do that. And we don't know why you can do that. But like, this is you waking up in all your dreams. And there is like this shift in the dream. And I can see it from like a third person point of view instead of my experience. But it's all dreams that I remember having in the past.
At this point, Sarah's pretty freaked out. I mean, she's very aware that she's dreaming, but she's also looking at this, and these are all dreams that she remembers having. This all seems very real. She said she feels like she's there in a real body, but here she is on this weird spacecraft with a woman giving her a case number saying like, you're not supposed to be able to do any of this. It just seems crazy. It seems absolutely unreal. I can't even imagine. This is when Sarah is taken to what she describes as a waiting room filled with other people who she was aware that they were also dreaming, and their handlers, just like the woman that she was with in this dream, her handler. But all of these people dreaming in this waiting room were like catatonic. She said she would try to, you know, get their attention, talk to them, whatever. They didn't respond. It was clear that they were like asleep in this waiting room. She said that it was like something was wrong with their dream. Something was wrong with these people, and they were waiting there to be processed in some way. Like, already, this literally sounds like the plot of a science fiction book. I really, really, really hope Sarah has taken so many notes because she could turn this into a crazy story. Then Sarah is approached by people who seemingly are in the military. She said it's not like the United States military, it's not like a military she's ever seen, that it felt alien, it felt futuristic in some way. And these military personnel escort her to a bridge, like a ship bridge. And they start asking her about vaccines. And Sarah's like, well, yeah, I have vaccines. I have every vaccination I'm supposed to get on Earth. And that's when she's told that no, they need to give her a vaccine right there and then because something is going on with her little noggin, and she's able to access parts of her dream, parts of this reality that she's not supposed to.
And this handler woman's like, apologize. She's like, I'm really sorry that we have to do this, but like, we have to do it. You can't be here. And so I'm just like, what are you talking about? They start talking about like B12. I don't know where that came from. They started talking about like certain genes, and then they put these like dots on my veins. I was like, get off of me. But I like can't wake up. I'm lucid, but I can't wake up myself at all. So essentially I have this conversation with these like higher ups, like whoever are the captain or whatever. And they're telling me that like, they're asking me questions. They're asking me about my experience. I'm asking them about like why I can't be there. They're kind of being like, well, that's classified, whatever. And then they like prepare this injection, and they give my handler like a shot, and they're just like, okay, you're gonna have to like take her back to the room, give her this injection, and she's never gonna be able to lucid dream again. And I'm like, what? So I get taken back to the room, right, with this woman.
So Sarah's being sent back. She's going to be given this shot by her handler. And she's asking like, why do you have to do this to me? Like, why do I need this shot? And she's essentially told that she's able to see beyond the point that she should be able to, that she's able to see more than she should, and they just can't have that happen. And she's begging. She's like, I love lucid dreaming. I really, really, really don't want you to do this. Like, please don't do this to me.
So then she goes and she leans in, and she like doesn't give me the shot. She like squirts it out. She's just like, I'm actually a huge fan. Like, I've watched your videos. Like, I've been following you, and I've asked to be assigned to this case because I have been watching you essentially like your whole life. And I think this is like really amazing that you can do this. She's just sort of like, I'm going to help you out. And so essentially she told me to just try to like pull my consciousness back, try to be like as unconscious catatonic as I can be. And like I started crying, and she's like, that's fine, but like you have to just like wake yourself up. So I just like pulled my consciousness back, and I was like sobbing, and I woke myself up. And then it was crazy because essentially like she was telling me like, if they find out I didn't give you the shot, like they're gonna come looking for you. They don't want you to be able to like dream like this again. And then when I woke up, I literally had like 104-degree fever. I was not sick when I went to bed, and then I woke up with this 104-degree fever. Felt like I was dying, and I was sick for like 4 days with like this horrible flu that came out of nowhere when I had that dream. And ever since then, I haven't had another lucid dream.
Yeah, she just stopped having lucid dreams at the time of posting this. And it's really weird because obviously she got really sick right after. And could this have been a fully delirious, crazy dream brought on by the fact that she was really sick? Maybe, but it is weird. It's really weird. She went to bed feeling totally fine and woke up with a 104-degree fever. Woke up with this crazy, crazy fever. Could this have been, like, did she actually get the vaccine? Did she actually get the shot and she didn't know? Or is this exactly what the woman was talking about, where she was like, these higher ups, if they find this out, they're going to be coming after you. They're going to stop you from ever doing this again because you are not supposed to get to this point. You can't push past reality to this. Or maybe she was just sick. Maybe it was just a crazy coincidence. However, Sarah goes on to say that, like, she's had premonitions about people passing away. She has had dreams about events before they ever happen, and I can relate to this. Not to the passing away part, but I have had dreams that have fully come into reality. I have talked to people in my dreams that I haven't talked to in years, and then they hit me up with a message the next day like, wow, you just popped into my head. Like, I truly think that there is something to dreaming. And actually there was another TikTok that I found. I didn't look into it enough to include it in this video, but it was from another girl who said that she was lucid dreaming, and she essentially like was talking to this person in her dream, and that person reached out to her and like fully knew what she was talking about, had the exact same dream. Like, it was the same person from this woman's dream. They were like both lucid dreaming and met up in this dream space. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's something to dreams. I think that we don't fully understand dreams in any way. I think Sarah's account is an incredible example of this. She has so many crazy lucid dreams. She's had all of these crazy lucid dreaming experiences. And I think there still is something to lucid dreaming. I don't really know that I think, okay, actually, just let me tell you what I think. I think lucid dreaming is astral projection. Sometimes I say things and I'm like, oh, you guys are gonna think I'm a little woo-woo, but I mean, I'm pretty woo-woo. If you've been watching me for long enough at this point, I feel like you know that. I truly think that lucid dreaming is, in a lot of cases, astral projection. I think this because I've had weird experiences of my own with dreams, not necessarily lucid dreams, but I do think, like in the dream I was telling you about earlier with my dad, I do fully believe that was my father. I believe that we were not able to take that vacation, that trip together. And I think that he came to visit me and we took it in this dream world. I have heard of twins sharing dreams and going into dreams together. I've had experiences with people who are very close to me where we will have the same dreams. I think that we just don't understand everything about dreaming. I do think there's something to it. I found this comment from somebody named Ruby who essentially said there are dream police. And if you push too far, if you start asking too many questions, if you just get a little too conscious of your surroundings, they will push you out. And if that doesn't sound like a genuine glitch in the matrix, I don't know what does. Anyways, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed these 13 Glitch in the Matrix TikToks that I wanted to share with all of you. Once again, make sure to check out all of these creators. I will have them all listed out down below, especially like people like Alec and Sarah. They have a lot more videos on the subjects that I talked about today. So if you want to keep up with those stories, you can check out their own TikTok accounts. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have missed you terribly. I do hope you enjoyed this video. So the first video I want to show you is a video that has been on my mind on a pretty much daily basis since the minute that I saw it, which is kind of funny because a minute's worth of time is what makes this video so horrifying. This poster had a crazy time glitch that I just can't explain. So our poster, the librarian, she works at a Barnes and Noble, and she's just working earlier on this day when she sees one of her coworkers walking out, and she's like, "Are you heading out for the day?" And the coworker says yes. And our poster looks down at her analog watch. Remember this, it's an analog watch on her wrist. and it says that it is 1:58 and she's clocking out at 2. So she tells her coworker, I'm clocking out in 2 minutes. And that's where this glitch in the matrix begins.
So then I went to go clock out and a customer stopped me. And they were like, can you help me? So I was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. What are you looking for? So then I walked all the way to the back to the kids section, from the front of the store to the back. After talking to a customer, after talking to my coworker and giving her a hug. So I go to like type in what the customer is looking for. Sorry, you guys, I'm like really freaked out. I went to type in what the customer was looking for and I looked at my clock because I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be off. It was still 1:58. It was still 1:58.
So she's going to talk about more like why this is so crazy, but I just want you to remember, she looks down at her watch, realizes it's 1:58. She walks like back and forth in the store, talks to a customer, does all of this stuff, goes to the computer, and it says 1:58. And my first thought was maybe your watch was slow, whatever, but she looks down at her watch and it's still 1:58.
So I was so deeply unsettled. I was like, no. And I was like, did my watch stop? Did my watch stop? So then I looked on the computer terminal and it said 1:58 too. So I remember saying out loud, I was like, this is weird. This is really weird. So then I kept staring at my watch. And then a lady came over to me, she talked to me and I typed something else in. And then I looked at my watch again and it finally said 1:59. You guys, my internal clock is pretty good. I know more than 1 minute passed for me to do all of that. There's no way that it remained 1:58 to 1:58 and then I sat there looking at my clock and it was still 1:58. Y'all, there's no way. Like, did time stop? Did anybody else experience something like this around this time? It takes me about a minute to walk from the front to the back in a meandering style, let alone talk to a customer, talk to a coworker, and look something up and walk. It was 1:58 for like 2 to 3 minutes. That's what I'm saying to you guys. It was 1:58 for like 2 to 3 minutes when it should not have been 1:58. Anyways, y'all, I am not okay because that was weird. By the way, it's a digital watch. It's not analog. The computer terminal said the same thing.
I'm sorry, but when you work retail, I feel like you just know every single minute that passes by. And this poster in particular, the reason this story is so fascinating to me is that she seems so genuinely rattled by it. Look, could she have maybe misread her watch? I guess so. That would pretty much be the only logical explanation here if she's positive that all of these things took more than a minute, which it just, again, sounds like logically it would, but I don't know. She seems so freaked out by it, and I think that freaks me out more. This isn't the kind of content that this poster makes, like, at all, by the way. So I really want to know what you guys think. Did she experience a time glitch where time just stood still for a full minute? Or was this something else? And if it was something else, what was it? The next video comes from professionalchitchatter, who was just getting ready one day when suddenly her earring fell out. But when she picked the earring up, the back was still on it.
The way I'm in the middle of doing my makeup right now, and my earring just dropped into my makeup bag that's literally been attached to my ear for like 30-40 minutes, and it fell into my makeup bag and I was like, that's where my earring fell out. I wonder if the back's not on it. And I pick it up and it literally looks just like this. Like, and that one's on, and this one was on too. This is the first one I put on. Glitch in the matrix, bro. I wish I would have been recording.
Some people in the comments, because I posted about this TikTok on TikTok, some people were saying maybe her ears were torn, like her actual earlobes were torn or something. I just think she would have realized, like, that could not have been the first time that happened if her ears were torn. Also, some other people saying that maybe she didn't actually get it on the ear, like maybe she clipped it in her hair or something. I don't know. Again, kind of similar to our last poster, I just feel like when people seem genuinely rattled over something, like when they believe they've genuinely had a glitch in the matrix, it just always kind of makes me look a little bit harder. And with this one, it's It's creepy. I don't know. I probably would have had the same reaction. Like, don't get me wrong. I've definitely like looped a necklace around my neck and it fell off later because I didn't actually get the necklace like through the little clasp thing. But this is different. This is like an earring. I don't know. I'll stop harping on this one, but it did creep me out. So the next two videos come from a user named SweetfaceJ86, who captioned this, "I just experienced an actual glitch in the Matrix."
Guys, we are in a simulation and I just got proof. And I don't usually do videos like this, but I literally just got proof. I can't even talk. This just happened right now and I'm gonna show you proof.
This poster has Ring camera footage of her glitch in the Matrix, so stay tuned until the end. Our poster woke up this morning feeling particularly exhausted. She goes to her morning workout, she literally comes home, she goes back to sleep. She's like, why did I get so tired? Like, what has exhausted me like this? And she realizes she had started a new anxiety medication and taken it at like 9 p.m. the night before. And so she's like, okay, I probably need to take this earlier on in the evening so I get a better night's sleep, a fuller night's sleep, and I don't wake up feeling so exhausted. And wouldn't you know it, she uses her phone to set an alarm for herself for 7 p.m. every single day so that she can take her medication on time. However, when she sets the alarm, her phone does something really weird.
Guys, I'm gonna show you proof of this. So I'm sitting here eating breakfast, watching videos, right? And I go, hey, you know her name? I go, set a daily alarm for 7 p.m. That's all I say, right? She comes back and says to me, and I'm gonna show you the proof. She says, a 7 p.m. alarm for your anxiety pill has been set. I didn't say what the alarm was for. I didn't even say it out loud. This was all an internal dialogue that I was having. No one is here. I'm going to freaking show you, because the thing came up at the top. Look. So like I said, I was watching videos. So I was watching this lady's video about, you know, the gossip, whatever. And look at what it says. Look at that. Now, look at how, and one can say, oh, you Photoshop that. Watch this. So this photo, for some reason, I had to crop it because when it's big, you can't see the top. But watch this. Look at the Siri bubble right here. Because she had just spoke it to me.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Set a daily alarm for 7 p.m.
I turned on your anxiety pill PM alarm at 7 p.m. starting today.
Stomach Girl, Charnix, Red Rum Beef. I got it all, y'all. I don't let you read and watched and everything else.
Now this video really creeps me out. Not even so much for the glitch in the Matrix part of it, which she experiences a second glitch in the Matrix that she posted about after this video, so I definitely think something's going on for her. But the reason this freaks me out so bad is like, is your phone just tapped in? Does her phone just somehow know that she started this new anxiety medication because of emails and, I don't know, like bank statements and whatever, and just knew to set this alarm for this anxiety medication? She responded to so many people's comments giving her rational explanations for this. And every single time she's like, you don't understand. I didn't have this alarm set before. I just started taking this medication. Like, this is weird. This is not like an explainable thing. And I believe her. Like, again, when people have conviction about these kinds of things, when they just know, I tend to get locked in. Call me a sucker. But with this one, I don't know. She just doesn't make content like this really. It's just really out of the norm. So that happens. So she's responding to people after she posts this video earlier in the day. And while she's doing this, she's just hanging out in her house and she has another glitch in the Matrix.
At this point, you guys are going to think that I am doing this for attention. You're going to think that I'm doing this to go viral. But I promise you that is not the case. I swear that this is not, like, if I had not caught what I'm about to show you again on camera, you would think she's bullshit. just like the previous video.
She's making her videos in response to people's comments about this glitch in the matrix she had, when suddenly she hears a fly buzz past, and she has ring camera footage of this as well. And she explains she hates flies, so she always has a fly swatter on hand. I actually completely relate to this. I invested in an electric fly swatter, and it's one of the best purchases I've ever made, except I've lost the charger like 4 times, and it's entirely useless when it's not charged. Anyway, the poster explains that everything in her home has a place. She very clearly is like a very neat, organized person. She knows exactly where her fly swatter should be. But when she gets up, it's not there.
There is something going on. There's a glitch in the matrix. I don't know what's today's date, the 16th or the 17th. I don't know what this date has to do with anything, but something is going on. This is not my typical content. I don't talk about conspiracy theories. I don't talk about matrix. I don't talk about, that's not my thing. That's not my zhuzh. So I keep a fly swatter right through the kitchen, right behind that, wait, I can't do it, that wall, right? You're gonna watch me get up to go get it. Now, there should be no reason that that fly swatter is not there. I clean up my house every night, every day. It's just where it goes. I make sure everything is in its place. And as you can see, my house is nice and quiet. There's a little bit of a mess on the kitchen table because of the mail and whatever, okay? I go to get the fly swatter. Notice that it's not there. I was just about to go into my bedroom because I'm like, where else would it be? Did I try to swat a fly last night in my room? Which I know I did not, because I would not go to bed without, anyways. And it on the corner of my eye, right there, I see the fly swatter. Mind you, I had just been sitting right there, and it was not there. I know what the fuck is real. Like that motherfucker there, that was not real. Okay, bye.
Where's that fly? Hate flies, bro. I hate flies. It's my fly swatter. You caught that on camera. Shit. Anyways.
Look, in like the kind of chaos of the morning, could this have just slipped out of the corner of her eye? Maybe. I lost my vacuum cleaner for literally like an entire week because I was so used to it being in this spot in my bedroom, like blending into all of these other things. I just couldn't find it for literally a week. I don't think that's that abnormal. And it was literally in my bedroom. Like I surely walked by it like 15 times every single day while searching for my vacuum. But this one, like the fly swatter looks pink. Again, this is like an item that she clearly uses on a regular basis as well. And if she had realized it was right there, she just obviously would have used it when she saw the fly. So I don't know about these stories. Do you think it was a glitch in the matrix? Do you think we just have some weird things going on with technology and the fly swatter thing was just a coincidence? I think for this poster, her simulation was kind of just glitching out a little bit, but let me know what you guys think. We have a TikTok from Margot Ross who put out a request for glitch in the matrix stories. And of course, she paid her toll. She went ahead and she gave us a glitch in the matrix story of her own. This story comes from this poster's mother and her experience with what almost seems like a timeline glitch, but with tangible proof that was left behind from the experience.
I want to hear all of your glitch in the matrix, unexplainable, weird stories because they are fascinating to me. And we can make this a series. This can be episode 1 because I have plenty of them. This one's my mom's. She was driving from Atlanta to North Carolina. It's the middle of the night. She's on the phone with my grandma, and my grandma is helping her over maps, Google Maps, because my mom was running out of gas and she was panicking a little bit because she was in the middle of nowhere, okay? Finally, over the hill, she sees a lit up, beautiful gas station. So she pulls in, she pumps her gas, uses her card, and then she goes to walk in to pee before she leaves. So she's walking towards the door, and as she gets to the door, her mom called her and goes, "You ran out of gas, didn't you?" And my mom's like, no, I'm at a gas station. Is my car, do you not see it? She said, no, your car's like parked in the middle of nowhere. Where are you? And she said, I'm at a gas station. And as she's saying that, she goes to pull the door and it's locked. And she looks up and there's a close sign. And she was like, oh, I just got gas. That's weird. She turns around. Everything's dark. No lights on, no people, no cars, bars on the windows, boarded up windows, a completely abandoned gas station. Ugh, it makes me want to throw up thinking about it. So of course, like any normal human, my mom's like, I've lost my mind, or I've fallen into a different dimension. She speeds off, gets on the interstate, completely weirded out, looks at her gas tank. Her gas is full. She got gas at this non-existent gas station. It's not on her credit card history, nothing. They go back, look on maps. There's no gas station there. Never figured it out. It's been years.
The fact that there was gas in her car. Explain how there was gas in her car. If it had been an abandoned gas station, I'm sure her mom would have noticed before she started pumping gas. Like, this is just so weird to me. And this extra creeps me out because it almost feels like a video game taking pity on you. Like, stick with me here. Imagine you are playing a video game. Imagine you're in The Sims and you're driving your car and your car can run out of gas. And you, as the person like controlling The Sims, you're like, oh dang, they need a gas station. So you just like pop one in right quick. But then once it served its purpose, it's just gone. Was it that? Was it just a timeline glitch where she popped out of our timeline and into an alternate one where she could get gas, and would it be stranded on the side of the road? I don't know. But what's really interesting is I actually have a second gas station story for you. This story comes from Real Life Ghost Stories, who says that she found the following story on the 14 Times forum from an anonymous poster. And she just tells this story so well. So I'm gonna let her tell you the full thing and then I'll be back to talk theories.
Our original poster stayed anonymous, but back in the early 90s, he was about 18, 19 years old and was working in a summer job. Now in this job, him and his colleague used to take a work van and they would drive the same route every single day. So it was a stretch of road through a forest, completely straight, thick forest on either side. They did it every day, multiple times a day. So this one day, they are driving back to their work building through this straight stretch of road in the forest when they realise they're nearly out of gas. And they decide, look, we're going to keep going, see how far we get, and then if we need to call somebody, we'll call somebody. At the time, the van had long-wave radio, and they reach this stretch of road and the radio cuts out, stops working, a black spot. And on the right-hand side of the road, they notice that there's this shed, this corrugated iron, flat-roofed shed that they've never seen before, with a handwritten sign that just says gas. So they're like, weird, we've never seen this before, but also great. So the pair didn't really think that much of it. They were kind of like, oh, how weird is it that we've driven this road every day and we haven't seen this gas station before? But they thought because it was so mundane, so normal, they just didn't register it in their brain. So the original poster goes into this corrugated iron shed. I mean, clearly I had never seen a horror film. But he goes in, he calls out hello. Eventually this little man in his 60s appears and he's sort of short. He's round, he's wearing a pair of trousers held up by a pair of braces and a flannel shirt. He has these really thick Coke bottle glasses and like a Greek fisherman's hat. The original poster is like, well, I need to get some gas, and the guy seems quite put out by the whole thing. So he's fumbling around, getting this key, he's mumbling in Swedish. He goes out and he's sort of rocking from side to side, constantly watching the two men. And the two guys are like, this is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to us. So they fill up with gas, and as they're driving away, they look in the rearview mirror and the man is standing on the side of the road, sort of waving both hands in the air at them. And they're like, that was such a strange encounter. By the time they get back to their workplace, the van is on its last legs. It's sputtering, it's smoking, things are not looking good. So the work mechanic reckons that they've either put petrol or diesel into the van when they shouldn't have. And he's like, right, we need to siphon it out. So they siphon it out. But what comes out is sweet and smells like turpentine. And the mechanic looks at it and he goes, well, this is wartime gasoline. Where did you get this? Wartime gasoline was basically this sort of crude concoction that was used during wartime when people didn't have enough fuel, and it wouldn't make your car run efficiently, but it would make your vehicle run. So the two guys say, well, we stopped at that gas station along the road. And the mechanic is like, what gas station? There's no gas station along that road. There never has been. An original poster described this moment as being like a bubble burst. The two friends, the two work colleagues were suddenly like, we don't ever remember there being a gas station on that road. They went eventually, drove up and down the road. There was no sign of the gas station, no sign that there ever had been a gas station there. And in later life, the original poster was still really perturbed by this whole story, and he did some research. There never was a gas station there. But one of the really amazing things about this story is that he physically kept the receipt. This strange man in this strange gas station had handwritten a receipt and given it to him, and he had put it into his wallet. So he knew that he had physically been there. That fuel was put into the van somehow. But there was no evidence of there ever being a gas station there. So was it a glitch in the matrix? Was it a time slip? Was it a step into an alternate universe? Why did the radios black out on that stretch of road? Who knows?
Like, was that not eerily similar to the last TikTok that we talked about with the gas station? Again, these two people seem to have glitched out of reality into some kind of alternate universe where they could get what they needed to get home. The fact that it was wartime gas, like, you can't just buy that. You cannot just go buy wartime gas. Like, that's not like a thing you can just do. It kind of makes sense too if they did slip out of their own timeline and into another one, that the guy who was like helping them would have been really confused and taken aback by such like a futuristic looking car. Because to me, what this seems like is that they went back in time, or maybe to another reality where there's currently some kind of war in that area. I don't know. Stories like these past two though, I just don't understand how that could possibly be explained. Especially in this one, just no gas station there, no gas station ever in that area. Anyway, on to our next TikTok.
If you've never experienced a glitch in the matrix, this is probably not the video for you, so just continue scrolling because you're gonna think that I'm crazy.
This video comes from Lauren Ann's World 1 on TikTok, who has a childhood glitch in the matrix to tell us about that haunts her to this very day. When Lauren is in 4th or 5th grade, her grandma would pick her up from school 2 to 3 times a week. She says her grandma lived nearby, they were super close. She was always going to her grandmother's home, like walking through the woods to get there. They were just very, very close. She spent a ton of time in her childhood with her grandmother. And sometimes when her grandma would pick her up, they would go to Wendy's. And in a Wendy's is where this poster experienced seemingly her very first glitch in the matrix.
My grandma has very prominent blue eyes, like crystal clear. It's a very prominent feature about my grandma that she has very blue, piercing crystal blue eyes. So this one day, she picks me up, we go to Wendy's, we're sitting in the glass area. If you know Wendy's back then you know what I'm talking about. We're sitting there eating our fries, and I look up at my grandma, and my grandma has brown eyes. They're brown. And so naturally I was like, Grandma, your eyes are brown. And she was like, yeah, Lauren, I have brown eyes. I was like, Grandma, no, you don't. You have very blue eyes. What do you mean you have blue eyes? And she was like, no, Lauren, I have brown eyes. So whatever, we eat. She takes me home, and this is the whole thing. I talked to my mom too, and I'm like, Mom, Grandma has brown eyes. And my mom was like, yeah, Grandma has brown eyes. No, she doesn't. She has blue eyes. What do you mean she has brown eyes? Like, everyone knows that Grandma has blue eyes, and everybody was making me believe that I was crazy. The next time that I see my grandma, 3 days later, my grandma has blue eyes again. So of course I'm like, Grandma, your eyes are blue. Why are your eyes blue? And she's like, yeah, Lauren, I have blue eyes. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? We just had this conversation 3 days ago when you had brown eyes, and I told you that you had blue eyes, and you're telling me that you have brown eyes, but I know that you have blue eyes, and now that you have blue eyes again, you're telling me that you know you have blue eyes? I'm not crazy. This was not a dream. I did not dream this. This happened. I didn't make that shit up. Like, that was reality. I didn't miss a day. Like, this happened. Has anybody else ever experienced anything like that? With people's eyes changing colors? And they fully believe that their eyes were a different color. I'll never forget that.
Now, my first thought was, maybe the grandmother put in colored contacts and the mom went along with it to like confuse Lauren Ann. But also, would they not come clean about that all these years later if it's clearly something that this poster still thinks about on a regular basis? Her grandma's known for these crazy blue eyes. One day they're suddenly brown and then they're blue again and everyone acts like she's the crazy one. That is not Lauren's only glitch in the Matrix story. It was just the one she wanted to tell first. So following this, she posted another video. This glitch is much more recent, happened in her adulthood. One day, she leaves her house to go to the gym, and she has a full productive day ahead of her. She gets in her car, she drives to the gym, she takes her car keys, and on her car keys is one of those little fobs that you use to like scan yourself into a gym. She does that, she works out, she leaves, she runs like 4 more errands, okay? She's having a full day and taking her car, this is important, to each location. Her car is one of those push to starts, so you don't have to like actually physically put a key in an ignition, but you do have to have the fob in the car. You can't start the car without the fob. So tell me why she gets home after this full day of errands and realizes her keys weren't in her car at all.
This was 3 different stops. I made 3 different stops. I had to ignite my car with my keys 3 separate times before I got home. I get home and I'm still sitting in the car and I can't find my keys anywhere to go unlock my house. Like, I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking through my gym bag. I'm looking in the back of the car. I cannot find my keys anywhere. They're gone. I can't. 20 minutes have passed. I'm looking for the keys. So then I'm just like, let me just go see if I left the door unlocked so I can just grab the dogs. My car is still running. Let me just go grab the dogs and we can go on a walk and find them later. If that even makes sense. So I walk up to my house and my keys are dangling from the lock of my house. Make it make sense. I had to physically use my keys to turn on my car 3 separate times before I got home to come get the dogs, but they were dangling in the lock of my house.
Okay, maybe there's a world where she has a spare key in her car she doesn't know about. That's how it was starting on its own without the keys in the car. How would she have scanned into the gym? Huh? How would she have scanned into the gym? That's so weird to me. It's almost like she glitched into a timeline where she'd already walked up to the door and put her keys in to unlock it. I don't know. This poster has some crazy stories. I actually literally sat there and scrolled through her entire account wondering if she had told any more, and I haven't seen any, but these 2 were really creepy.
Proof that we live in a simulation. I have literally found my simulation twin. Like, we were cut from the same cloth, made from the same template, whatever you want to call it, because she is living my life out in California.
Now, this video comes from Julia Wang HTX, and she has a simulation twin. There's really just no other way to put it. And when I first heard that, I was like, okay, so you have someone in your life who lives an incredibly similar life to you. But just listen to these coincidences between her and her simulation twin, because I'm telling you, by the end of this, I was like, oh, you have a simulation twin.
Some background info. So I live in Houston, Texas. My simulation twin, her name is Caroline. She lives in California, and we've known each other for a while because we both grew up in Dallas, and so we have a lot of mutual friends. But it wasn't until recently where we discovered how similar and how eerily similar our lives are. So this is my family right here. I'm actually Korean and I'm married to a Taiwanese man, and he is a tech entrepreneur. He started several tech companies and he develops software. So our kids, we have 3 kids. They're obviously half Taiwanese, half Korean. I have Cameron. She is the oldest. She's 8 years old. Jordan, he is my middle child. And then my son Atlas, he is 11 weeks old.
So this is Caroline's beautiful family, and Caroline is Korean like I am, and she's also married to a Taiwanese man who happens to be in tech, and a lot of Asians are in tech, so that's not that big of a deal. But she has 3 kids, and her oldest is a girl, and then it's followed by 2 boys, just like me. And the age difference between her kids are the same as mine. So her daughter is named Charlotte. My daughter is named Cameron. Her middle son is named Jacob. My son is named Jordan. So yeah, it's not the same name, but it starts with the same letter. And then her youngest is named Chance. And while my son is named Atlas, she actually messaged me saying that Atlas was one of the names that they were considering because her son, her middle son, apparently likes maps a lot. And Atlas is not like a common name. Like no one I know is named Atlas. So the fact that she was considering that name is crazy. So we're both the oldest in our family. I have a sister, she has a brother. So my sister Nina, she went to Pratt Art School in New York. If you know Pratt, it's like a very small, hard to get into art school in New York. And her brother went to Pratt. So my husband is the only child, the golden son, and he unfortunately lost his father to cancer a couple years ago. And my simulation twin, her husband is also the only child, and he lost his mother to cancer the same year. And we both drive a minivan, and not only just a minivan, but we drive the Toyota Pacifica hybrid minivan. And what's crazy is like, I actually got this minivan as part of a collab with Driveway. So the fact that she owns that is crazy. To me, this is not a coincidence. Like, we have way too many similarities and very specific similarities. And I really feel like we were like made from the same template, character template for this simulation. But I don't know, call me crazy. What do you guys think?
How crazy is that? The same kids, the kids were what really got me. They both had a daughter and then 2 sons, and the first 2 kids for both of them had the same first letter of their names, and then their babies were almost named the exact same thing. It's literally almost like Julia can get a glimpse into an alternate reality, one where she doesn't live where she does, but she's instead gallivanting off in California, but also not, because they live such similar lives. They have such a similar story. I don't know. This one was kind of sweet to me though. I think I'd like having a simulation twin so I could just like peek in and see like an alternate version of my life. That reminds me, I've really been meaning to tell you guys about this, but have you been having the craziest dreams this year, or is it just me? Earlier this year, I had a dream where I met my soulmate in like an alternate plane of reality, where people link up with their soulmates in the astral realm so that they can get married later in life. If you didn't hear this story, you're probably like, whoa. If you did hear the story, you're probably still like, whoa. But stick with me here. So I had that dream. It was really vivid, and I still don't know whether or not that was a dream. But lately, I've been having even crazier ones where I will get a glimpse into an alternate life for myself. Like a life where, let's say I stayed in college and never made a YouTube video. I will know as I have these dreams, not that I'm dreaming, but that I am not myself. I have all of the same people in my life. Well, sometimes people are like different things to me in the dream. My brother is always the same. My mom's always the same. My dad's always the same. Like my immediate family, always same cast of characters, if you will. But people around me will change. And I'll know in the dream, not that I'm dreaming, but I'll have this sense of like, it's okay, whatever happens here, I don't stay here. Literally like I'm going into an alternate universe of myself, living out a day as that person, and then waking up in my bed. And this has happened more than once. It's happened with me being a doctor, with me being a mom to like 3 kids. There was one reality where I could skateboard, and that was just my whole life was skateboarding. And if you know me, you know I'm the most uncoordinated human being on planet Earth. There's no way. Maybe I'm visiting alternate realities when I sleep. I don't know. I've been telling everyone I know about this recently, and everyone has agreed that it's really weird. So I'm curious what you guys think about that. This video comes from Mad Hatter News, who explored an article titled, "Yet Another Person Has Found a Precious Missing Object in a Place It Couldn't Possibly Be." Apparently, this is a phenomenon recently.
Lots of people are coming out recently reporting that missing objects are being found in places that they couldn't have possibly been. And this is making the news. This is a purely for fun section of the news, but they're saying there's a strange supernatural trend that's happening right now where a lot of people are suddenly finding precious lost objects in places that they had never been before. Like finding a lost ring their dad gave them years later in a random parking lot in a state they've never been to. Discovering photos of their own family in a thrift shop several states away. Loey. One woman's grandma gave her ruby earrings as a child, and she lost one of them as a child. She moved from Arizona to Alaska, and when she stepped out of the car in Alaska, she found the missing earring as an adult in Alaska under her foot. Now listen, all of these people could very well be lying. I personally did have ghosts in my house in Japan. I don't care if anyone believes me, I did. And it would steal my jewelry, and then I would find it in random places. There's some jewelry it took that I never found, actually. I would literally place it down, turn around, and it would be gone. Glitch in the Matrix, ghosts, who knows? What do you guys think about this? Follow for more tea.
Now, if you just lost something, maybe in your house, and it turned up like 5 days later, I could understand that. Sometimes it can be a little unnerving, especially when you know you've looked in a place a million times, whatever. But a lot of these stories, like people finding family heirlooms in random parking lots, I don't know, that's really weird. And it was just in the like for fun section of this like website, but creepy nonetheless. If you guys watched my last video, you know that there's been a lot of buzz on TikTok recently around New Orleans, specifically like the scary side of New Orleans. And this poster's glitch is so unsettling. Now, our poster candikaine starts out this TikTok by saying that this is not abnormal for the South. Specifically in New Orleans, places will glitch and change and disappear. And one night this poster and her friend are going out to the French Quarter. Neither of them are drinking, stone cold sober, because the friend of this poster had to drive. And this is how she got dragged into a bizarre like warp of space and time.
When we get there, we park the car, and this was the first time I'd ever seen this feature on the phone where you can set where you parked your car so you can find it again. Because I started to walk away and she's like, hold on, like let me set it. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like she explained it to me. I'm like, that's really dope. And I was like, well, I would have noticed where we were because the building was really specific and there was a cowboy. I'm gonna show what the cowboy is. I'm from the country. We're both from the country. So I'm used to seeing this in people's yards. It's not really common to have this like cutout display in like the city and in New Orleans, but I'm familiar with it. So I'm like, oh, I would have noticed this distinct building and the cowboy. I don't know if I can insert a picture. Okay, so this is what I mean by the cowboy. This is just like a yard display, and it was propped up against this building. Now, this is just something insignificant that I thought it was just insignificant that I just mentioned. We go, we have a good time. Eventually, my feet start hurting. I'm like, all right, let's go. I want to get in the bed. I want to eat. Like, I just want to go. So the car should not have been far. We start walking, and she's like, for some reason, like it's not even popping up. It's like I didn't even set it. So I'm like, that's really weird. But I remember the street name. I remember the distinct buildings. I remember things. So I'm like, we're going to find it. Like, don't even trip. So we start walking. Lord, we walked around for hours.
They walk around for hours looking for the car. The poster's maps aren't making sense. Her friend's maps aren't making sense. They can't find this car. And these are grown women who very clearly like this is abnormal, right? Like this is weird. They're both sober. Obviously, they can't find the car. Their maps are messing up to the point where like they can't even figure out how to get to where they were going. So hours of this pass. They are literally just walking the streets of New Orleans until finally something catches their eye.
So we see the cowboy and the building at the exact same time. I go to say something, Lord, and it's like we had been faked out so many times. I kind of didn't want to say something, and like we still weren't in the right place. Like it made no sense, Lord. So I see the cowboys like across the street. So I'm like, I know that the car is this way on this street. So I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm about to say something, and Lord, I don't know if she gasped or what, but we look up and we see the cowboy that's still there in the same spot that it had been. He gets up, just the shadow gets up and starts walking across the street to where we are. So when she kind of like, I felt like she was going to say something, I just grabbed her hand and I'm like, it's okay. So I'm just like rubbing her hand, and if like women, we know, even if it's terrifying, somebody has to step up and be like the brave one. So I was being the brave one because I didn't want her to start like freaking out. So I'm holding her hand and I'm just like rubbing her hand. I'm like, it's okay. it's okay, everything's all right. I'm like, just cross the street with me. So I hold her hand and I take her, and she's like stiff. So he's crossing the street this way, we cross the street that way. So we go like a little bit away. When we make it to the little building, I turn, bam, the car's right there. We must have approached this little area from every which direction for hours. Never came across the car, never came across the cowboy. After he like crossed, I kept my head straight. I'm just like holding her hand, I'm talking to her. I didn't watch it, I don't know. And it wasn't until I told this story, like I uploaded it yesterday on the long form content place. It wasn't until I told that story that I made the connection that possibly us crossing it might have been how we got out of that weird little loop. But it's been years and I hadn't made that connection until yesterday.
That is so terrifying because I have that same feature on my phone, the one that saves where your car is parked, and it's suddenly not working anymore, like not even showing up is weird in itself, almost like they weren't in their own reality. But then the cowboy, like this cowboy cutout, starts walking. Like when she talked about that, my body just, it is so unnerving. I had like a physical reaction from that. And she had to be the strong one in that situation, but I can't even imagine how terrifying it was. Now, candikaine elaborated on this further on the 3 a.m. vanishing act of the South. And I thought that her explanation was really, really interesting.
So there's a freaky phenomenon that happens in New Orleans where businesses and buildings and sometimes people tend to disappear and reappear and disappear once more. How this happens, it depends on who you ask. But one thing remains the same. This really does happen. Some people call it card shuffling. And a lot of times this happens in the French Quarter, which, as you know, is a hotspot for paranormal, supernatural activity. A lot of accounts say that this happens around 3 a.m. And some people said that they've experienced this around Savannah, Georgia, and some parts of Florida. But I know for sure this happens in Louisiana.
There were some people who stitched this and said, yeah, the South plays disappearing acts. I also find it interesting she mentioned Savannah, Georgia. That place being a location where people like glitch through timelines and things disappear and reappear, that makes sense to me. If you've never been to Savannah and you've never been to New Orleans, they feel kind of similar to me. The energy there is just unexplainable. Now, Miss Candikaine, I was looking at her in this video and I was like, where have I seen this woman before? She makes like videos sometimes about creepy things, about creepy experiences and paranormal stuff and whatnot. But where I knew her from was specifically Dream Talk. That's right, we've got an entire sector of TikTok for dreams. This could be its own video in itself, but this is so fascinating to me. I've been trying to actually find this TikTok again for weeks. This poster had a dream where she met another living, breathing person who was in the same shared dream space as her.
Honestly, I don't know how else to give this update, but the girl from my dream found me in real life.
And y'all, this is wild. So how she came to realize this was the person in her dream asked her what the time is. And this was around the time where people on TikTok were saying like, ask people in your dreams for the date or the time because it'll have weird effects. Some people say the dream gets kind of scary, like everyone in the dream suddenly knows that you know you're dreaming. That's been my experience lucid dreaming also. Every time I realize I'm dreaming, everybody in my dream will stop what they're doing and like look at me. Very uncomfortable. I don't like lucid dreaming. So the girl in her dream asks her for the time and she realizes that this girl is sharing a dream with her.
So when the girl in my dream asked me the date and the time, I'm like, why would I know the time? I'm asleep. But I gave her a date, which I didn't realize was the wrong date until I woke up. But that's how we kind of realized that she wasn't going to have the dream until a later date. So I decided, I'm like, well, you must be on TikTok because like to know to ask me that, so I posted a video so that she could find me in real life. I got tagged in a video this morning of a girl claiming to have had that same dream and remembers like that conversation. I don't know if I mentioned it in the first video, but I definitely said it in the second video about the dream, that I wasn't given all the details because I wanted to be able to compare notes. I didn't want somebody to just tell me, oh yeah, you know, I had this dream, and I would know if like they were bull. If you think about it, it's a dream. Anything can happen in a dream. She came with the details. She mentioned things in her video that I didn't even mention in mine. Like she mentioned things I'd only ever told my partner. So nobody knew these details. We're in contact now. We're trying to figure out what it means. If anything, I'm sure it means something. We just don't know what it means yet.
Now, I couldn't find the original video that the poster was talking about where she talked about the dream in the first place in hopes of finding the girl that she met in it. But finally, with the help of my friend Susie, it was so hard to track down the other woman who she was talking about in this video, the woman who met her in the dream. And I'm sure this is the girl that the poster was talking about because the poster actually commented on this video and said, you are sharing details that I didn't even share in my video.
So this could be completely far-fetched, but I remember March 28th, 29th, because it was before I moved, I had a dream that I was on a girls' trip. Now this girls' trip, the way it was hosted is that we went to multiple locations. I recall us going to the beach, having drinks, and taking content for social media. But at the end of the dream, we were on a hike. On this hike, there's two girls with me. They're wearing shorts, tank tops with backpacks, and combat boots. So they're pretty much like dressed like Lara Croft. During this hike, I remember it being super hot because the sun was out and it's just beaming on us. And the girl to my right, she was like, okay, can we stop? I need a break. I'm like, no, we're almost there. We should keep going. And then the girl who was in front of me, she turns around and she's like, yeah, and I'm trying to get there before the sun comes up. I was like, what? What? That doesn't make sense. The sun is already out. So what do you mean the sun is coming up? Did this dream end in a hike, bro? I need to know. Like, did it end in a hike?
So this poster, Siona, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, she makes this first video. The poster comments on it is like, yeah, I mean, you are the girl from my dream. That's crazy. So she makes a secondary video kind of following up to that with just a bit more information.
So continuing where I left off from the first video, the woman had just said, yeah, I'm trying to get there before the sun rises. And I'm a person who's consciously aware in the dream state. I've only done like surface level research on astral travel and astral projection, so I don't know much about that. But I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. If the sun is out in the dream, the sun would only be rising somewhere else. So I'm like, are you real? Does that mean like the sun is rising for you in the 3D? So I asked, are you real? And the person was like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued because I've never experienced this before. I was consciously aware with another individual, a stranger in fact, consciously aware in my dream, and they're consciously aware in the same dream, and then we became consciously aware of each other being conscious in this dream. I've never experienced this before. So I'm like, okay, I wonder if I could find this person in the 3D reality. So I asked, where are you? What time is it? I started asking other questions too, but it's like that reality, that dream state started to fade, and like that individual that I was talking to started to go inaudible. Like I couldn't hear them, and it started to blur. Like my vision started to blur, like a laptop or a cellular device shutting down. You see the screen fade. That's how it was. Like, okay, we're closing out this application now. It's time to get up. That's how the dream ended for me. I don't know.
I find this story so fascinating, and it's actually really interesting. This story is why when I had my soulmate dream, because I had seen all of this like floating around a few weeks before that, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not that weird that I met my soulmate in a dream way before I ever met them in real life. This entire thing is just so fascinating to me. I just don't think that we understand what dreams even are. Like, I've heard of people sharing dreams before. I've heard of like twins having the same dreams, of being in each other's dreams and having the same memories of them when they wake up. I have also shared dreams with people that I'm very, very close with. So I know firsthand this isn't fake. I'm actually very curious if you've had an experience like that where you have connected with someone through dreams, a loved one, a stranger, whatever. Let me know. I'm actually so curious. One final video though from Miss Candikaine. I'm telling you, this poster has an absolutely amazing TikTok account. She also shares like full stories here on YouTube, but she responded to an Audacity video where she asked, tell me the weirdest dream you've ever had that you don't think was a dream at all. And she starts the video by saying that she once had a dream where a character in it told her that she would expire if she didn't find a way to wake up. So the way that this happened is that the poster fell asleep basically while waiting on their mom to come home for lunch. She had a routine with her mother where like 5 times a week her mom would come home at noon, they would get some lunch together, and they would watch, she said, Judge Judy or something, and that was just their routine, and they did this like most of the week. She doesn't set an alarm because her mom is about to come home. And the first moment that she realizes that she's in a dream, that she's asleep, is when she dreamed that she's in an airport with a group of people. And this is odd to her because she travels alone. So she knew like, okay, this is a dream, I'm dreaming. And this dream starts to just get really stressful. A pattern of back-to-back events occur, she says. First off, they miss their flight. And this is normally something that in real life would really freak her out, but she just goes with it. She's in a dream, no big deal. They start looking for the car rental place now that their flight has been canceled. They can't find that. And eventually she gets separated from this group in the large crowd of the airport. And that's when she encounters someone or something that said something absolutely horrifying to her.
So I'm going down this escalator, and I look down and I realize that the bottom of the escalator is just disintegrating. It's just falling apart. Everything's falling down into just darkness. So there was no other situation being created. It was just darkness. And there's a blur of people, the same way that it would be in an airport with just people just coming and going and coming and going. And I notice one guy off the side who's looking at me, and he's completely still. He's dressed in all black. He stands out from everybody else. So I see him see me, and I'm like, so I'm just trying to like sing songs to myself to wake myself up. And if you're familiar with my content, if you've seen any of my lucid dreaming videos, I kind of tell people how to do it in a safe way or not to do it, things like that. So if you've seen any of those videos, then you know I say I'll sing a song over and over and over until I wake up, because your brain has no choice but to kind of wake you up. But that wasn't working. So he looks over at me and he's like, you know, if you don't find a way out of here, you're stuck. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? He's like, if you here, you're gonna be stuck here too, so you better find a way to wake yourself up. So I'm like, I'm not really tripping because my mom's gonna be home soon. She's gonna wake me up. So if I can't wake myself up, she's gonna wake me up. And he's like, no, she's not coming home today, so you better figure it out. And he comes off as like really concerned, but like, I can't help you, you better figure it out. So I'm freaking out. I'm singing the song over and over. I'm not waking up. I'm crying and screaming until I was screaming, help me, until like I just held on to that like help. And I woke up gasping for air because I stopped breathing. And I'm crying and I'm freaking out. Now, this could have been my brain trying to find a way to wake me up, my anxiety manifesting, or something in the fact that I normally would have woken up in that stressful situation, but since I knew that I was dreaming, I didn't wake myself up. However, I checked my phone, and sure enough, there's a message from my mom that I got after I'd fallen asleep telling me that she wasn't coming home because she was working through her lunch break. So I completely believe that if I wasn't able to wake myself up, that I would have. I just always felt like it was deeper than just a regular dream, but I don't know.
I just find it so strange that the man in her dream knew her mom wasn't coming home. Like, maybe it was her own brain telling her that because she just had a weird feeling, but I don't know, it's just such a specific detail. And the way that she described it, like this escalator going down into darkness, disintegrating, and this man is like, if you don't find a way to get out of here, you're gone. That's just really, really eerie to me. And the fact that her mom wasn't coming home, like, I'm so glad she's okay. I agree with her. I really don't think that was a dream. And I'm glad that she found her way back, but dang, was that creepy. Once again, this poster has so many stories, literally so many incredible stories, glitch in the matrix type stories, like crazy dream experiences, even crazier than some of these. So make sure to check out her account. I, as always, have everybody that I talk about listed down below. Then for a TikToker named Chloe or Homegrownliving, this poster seemed to be recalling one of her past lives while visiting a town in the present.
The most insane thing just happened to me. Oh my god.
So this poster has moved back to an area that she once lived in before she had children. She said around 13 years ago. Now she lives there again with her kids and her husband. So they go out on walks on the weekends, just kind of exploring this area that they live in now. And they decide to go to a little village around this area, one that the poster says she has visited in this lifetime. However, while she was there, it almost seems like timelines were crossing for her.
Anyway, so I have this dream about a certain street. I have it all the time. I have a dream about this street, and I've had it quite a few times, and every time it kind of goes around this old street, and it's nighttime, and one of the doors is opened up, and it's like there's a sort of event going on, and there's always like cakes. There's like cakes in there, like there's like maybe like a nighttime bake sale or something. Like, it's really strange. Anyway.
So she's walking along this street. She's like, I've dreamed about this street before. This is the street that I dream about on a frequent basis. She's kind of having this moment of almost like deja vu recognition with this place.
And it's actually a house now. Like, you can't go in there. It's somebody's house. And it's like 1600s. This street is really, really old. Everything says like 1601 on it. Like, everything's really old. And then I look across and there's this antique store, and I love antiques. So I was like, oh, it's really quiet up here. Like, I would never have seen this if I didn't go up here. And I was like, I'm just going to pop in real quick. As I get to the door, you kind of have to step down. It's a really, it's 1600s. It's really small. It's just a small place. I step down into it. It's like a cute little antique store. And something inside of me, or like something, kind of goes whooshes through my brain. I don't know if it was like a physical thing, and I instantly remember being in this space, and it's really small, and on the right hand side there's a really big fireplace. Like, the whole place is basically a big walk-in fireplace where they would have the hearth of the home, and the woman's talking to someone else. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like get my bearings here. So the people leave, and she comes over to me and she said, oh, can I help you with anything? And I go, oh, I was just looking around at these like bread bowls. And she went, oh, I've seen you before. You've been in here before. And I was like, no, I haven't. Why would you say that? And she's like, oh, I recognize you. You've been here before. And I was like, no, I haven't. But I feel like I've been here before. Like, I've been here, but not in this time. Like, it wasn't an antique store. Like, I've been in this when it was a home. And she's like, it's always been an antique store for as long as she remembers. She doesn't own it. She rents it out. So obviously once it was, but she's like, I've been here for years. And so I was like, well, I've never been here. And she's like, well, how do I recognize you though? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, how weird is that? So I was like shaky, because I was like, well, that's so weird, because I've walked in here and I recognize this place. And she was talking to these other people saying, oh, can you imagine when like the fire would have been on and it was all cozy? And I was like, yeah, I do remember that actually.
So she knew the layout of this place, like knew it as if she knew it before it was an antique shop, if that makes sense. Which only really would make sense if maybe she lived there in a past life or something, unless she toured it that decade ago or something and just doesn't remember it. That could be possible. I still think it's weird that she remembers so many details. She has dreams about this place. It's strange. But after this, she meets up with her husband at a pub.
We go out back because it's really small. There's no spaces, and the girls are like playing. And I was like, Gary, like something weird just happened. let me go get the girls some juices from the bar, some fruit shoots or whatever. So I go to the bar and I'm waiting there, and there's this guy there, right, serving, and he went, I'll be with you in a second. And I had my hands in my pockets, so like I was like, oh, okay, no worries. And then he looked up and he went, oh, I've seen you before, you're back. And I was like, I've never been in here before. And he's like, oh, but you have the tattoos on your fingers. And I was like, what? Oh, I went like this, and I was like, I do. And he went, no, the other hand. And I was like, this? And he went, yeah, that. This tattoo. He's like, yeah, I remember you had that tattoo on your finger. And I recognized your face. You were in here before. And I was like, I have never been in here before. And if I have, it would have been 15 years ago. And he's like, well, I haven't been here. He was like a South African guy. He's like, I'm pretty new. 2 people within 20 minutes told me that they recognized me. He recognized tattoos on my hand. He recognized my face. This woman recognized me.
Like she said, this isn't exactly like a foreign place to her. She has been here before, but not in over a decade. And the bartender knew the little tattoo on her finger. Like, it's just so weird.
Okay, everything's so crazy. I've had a dream about this place.
Was this a place she maybe once lived in a past life, and is that why she was drawn to come back to this area all of these years later? I won't pretend to know all the details, but I do think this is eerie. And I truly think the timelines were crossing over for her, or that she was just having a crazy past life experience, like a past life memory, and she was tapping into that. That was just so unsettling, because again, with a lot of these stories, it's like, I feel like you can tell when a poster is unnerved. You can tell when they are freaked out by their own story. This video from Lex Run shows a real life glitch in the Matrix. Like, her child's toy fully glitching out.
You guys, I'm freaking the out. It is literally 2:50 a.m. Do you hear that? That is my baby's bubble bath crab in the restroom. It just turned on out of nowhere. And I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack.
Checks, come on, buddy. Come on, let's go check. Come on. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come with me. Come on. Come on. My dog won't even come. Come on, buddy. He's coming.
At first I thought this might be paranormal, but the more I watch it, the more I'm convinced it was a glitch in the Matrix. The toy is like levitating and just repeatedly going off. Like, what is it holding on to? I don't know. If you're familiar with this toy, does it stick onto the wall or something? It's so strange to me because it's just hovering there. This video is from Essence Creations 27. Now, we talked about this poster in my last video, and she was the vampire Lyft driver. I loved her story so much, I was going through her page when I found what I would describe as a glitch in the Matrix experience.
How does one person have a near-death experience and 2 people experience it in 2 different ways?
The story starts off with a poster saying that she's on her 3rd pregnancy. She's had 2 C-sections with her past 2 pregnancies, and this baby is going to be delivered through a vaginal birth because apparently it's very risky to cut someone open like a 3rd time. Apparently there's just a lot of risks to it. And while she's going into labor, she's just feeling like something is very off. You know, that motherly instinct kicks in, and she's like, something isn't right here. The doctors are like, no, your vitals look fine. We're looking at the monitors. You're good. Don't worry. And she was like, no, something's actually genuinely wrong. Like, you need to take me to the operating room right now, to which the doctor refused. But when another doctor comes in, she quickly realizes that's not true.
Thank goodness they switched shifts and another doctor came on. It was a black lady with locks. Thank goodness for her, because she came in and she said, they keep saying that you want to go to the OR. Why is that? I said, because I have a feeling that something is really wrong and I need to go now. We go down there and guess what? I am ruptured. She says that within like me being on a table for 20 seconds. Now, when you have a C-section, they give you oxygen. Why you would think I'm awake, I should be able to breathe, no, you need the oxygen. I was not getting enough oxygen, and I slowly felt myself slipping away. Now, let me tell you, do not ever have a fear of death, because I used to be so afraid of death prior to this, but because I started dying and I saw what it felt like, it is almost feels so amazing and peaceful that it's hard to resist. But I knew that I needed to be here. For like, I had to talk myself back up to get the strength and energy to tap my husband and let him know that something is wrong. I was just like, oxygen. Like, that was the last breath I had in me to be able to get it out. And he's like, she needs oxygen. And they're like, she needs oxygen. Oh my gosh, her numbers are so low. Da, 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 da. But I was like sinking into the death. This video is not sponsored by the Grim Reaper, and I do not recommend anyone try to go for it before it's your time.
And thank God this other doctor took her seriously. I think it's something like 1 in 5 Black women say that they have been treated unfairly in a healthcare facility, and especially pregnant Black women so often are not given the care that they need. They're not given pain medication when they request it. Like, it's an entire problem of racism in the like healthcare world. So that's traumatic enough in itself. Thank God her baby was safe. Thank God she was safe. But she's recounting on this one day with her mother. She's recounting on this experience and is, you know, just talking about the trauma that she went through. This is when she realizes her mother has an entirely different memory of that day than she does.
My mom's like, yeah, I was so scared because when your husband came out the room and he was crying and he was telling us that you were dying and they were in there giving you a blood transfusion right then, that was the scariest day of my life. And I said, I didn't have to have a blood transfusion. And she's like, yes, you did. And I remember distinctly, it was me, and she's naming the people who were in the waiting room, which were the people that were in the waiting room. And she's like, and he came out, and I had to hold him because he was so scared. And I'm like, Mom, like, he was there with me the whole time. He never left. So now I have to call him and find out. And I'm like, hey, did I have to have a blood transfusion? He's like, no, you didn't have to have a blood transfusion. I was like, well, my mom said that you came out and told her that I was in there getting a blood transfusion. He's like, I never left your side, which I know he never left my side. And yes, I almost died, but we didn't tell my mom that because I would never tell my mom that. She is like already paranoid and scared of something happening to one of her kids anyways. So now the question is, all of you people who have all the answers, because it's a ton of you all, how is it that in my near-death experience, there were like 2 different experiences from different people when in reality I did like come this close to death? So then I even looked up the paperwork from the hospital where it said that not only did I have a rupture, the rupture extended over to a major artery to which I lost a substantial amount of blood. But then also on there, it has a part where it says needed a blood transfusion. No. So riddle me this.
That is so weird. That is so weird, especially when you consider she has the paperwork saying she wasn't going to get a blood transfusion, anything like that. She knows that didn't happen. She knows what happened. Her husband knows what happened. Her mother has a completely different memory of events. So ultimately, I'm just happy she's safe and her kids are safe and they're able to grow up with their mom because she had a competent Black female doctor who stepped in and took her seriously. But I just can't even imagine like hearing something like this. Hearing that someone else has a different story about your near-death experience than you do. This poster named Jayntly actually posted a video of them calling an inactive phone number to a psych ward from the early 1900s. Captioned it, "Things only white people would do." Honestly fair, because the minute I saw this, I was like, what's the number? But you probably will not agree with me after you hear what she heard.
Things only white people do.
Yeah, so I don't know what that was. Why was someone answering at all if the phone line was inactive, and why did it sound like that? I really don't think she was expecting it either, because she looks so genuinely terrified in this clip. So I'm curious who exactly she had on the line. So finally, we have 2 videos from bizamanic. And this poster we've talked about in a previous Glitch in the Matrix TikTok video. Do you remember him? We were talking about how he cooked a waffle. He had a waffle in the toaster and the waffle just disappeared. It was a whole big to-do and it was very weird, and he was convinced that, you know, he just didn't understand where this waffle went. Anyways, that ended up leading to him getting all of these people in his comment section sharing their Glitch in the Matrix stories. You guys, he has like over 20 something parts of this the last time I looked, and every single one of them is so scary. They're all from his TikTok comment section, from real people with stories you've just never heard before. I highly recommend just binging the whole playlist. I find them so fascinating, but I wanted to share with you some of my favorites that he's told.
So a couple weeks ago, I posted a video about how I put a waffle in the toaster, and then when it popped and was done, it was gone, and I still can't find it. Well, you all commented on that video with some very similar strange things that's happened to you. So here's top 10 glitches in the Matrix from my comment section. I dropped a spray bottle in my bathroom, heard it hit the floor, have not been able to find it in the last 4 months. No clue where it went. I've lost a strand of spaghetti like that before, threw it against a wall to see if it was done. It slid off the wall, there was nowhere for it to go, poof, gone. Mac and cheese and the pot. We searched everywhere. The only proof we made mac and cheese was the box in the trash. The pot with mac and cheese was just gone. My daughter swears she was having a food fight with her brother, tossed a tortilla, and it went through the wall and vanished. They searched for days, it was gone. We got back from dinner the other night. I sat my phone on the bed, went to the bathroom, came back, and my phone was gone. We called it 6 times, searched for 2 hours. The next morning, my mill called to tell us she found my phone in the pocket on the back of her passenger seat. I sat behind the driver, and we both remember me putting my phone on the bed. When we walked in, I was on the phone with my sister when we got home. Still can't explain it. I was delivering an oxygen sensor to a shop once. I put it in the passenger seat, and when I got there, I looked over and it was gone. All my coworkers looked everywhere for it, but it has evaporated into nothing apparently. Used to live in an older house, we received a check from my mill and then couldn't find it for days. Then one day, it was just sitting in the middle of the kitchen counter. My husband tore his truck apart looking for a tool. Couldn't find it anywhere. Next time he opened the truck door, it was laying in the seat. We had a toy dinosaur made from Legos. Dropped it at my feet, bent down to pick it up, and gone! My husband, myself, and our 2 kids moved all the furniture in the room, couldn't find it at all. And at number 10, one time my wife bought a pumpkin carving kit. We brought it home, brought it upstairs, and specifically put it in a spot we'd remember so we could easily come back to it and use it like the next day when we got a pumpkin. Well, not long after placing it in the spot, when we came back for it, it was gone. Days went by and we looked everywhere. One day, someone opened a kitchen cabinet and boom, there was a pumpkin carving kit. But it wasn't even the one we bought, and no one has come forward about the one found. No one bought it. So we lost one, but gained one that wasn't as good as the one we bought. What is happening? Oh, I'll tell you what it is. It's either fairies, gnomes, or interdimensional beings, or we're all just going crazy.
The mac and cheese just disappearing with the whole pot was my favorite story from this video, because where did it go? Why did it run away?
Top 10 glitches in the Matrix from my comment section, part 3. And if you like super creepy paranormal ghost stuff, make sure to stick around for number 10, because then you won't be able to sleep at night. Lost a pair of diamond earrings while living in Hawaii. I spent weeks searching for them, gone. 2 years later, I found them on the bathroom counter in a new house in Washington State. One day, I plugged my phone in on the kitchen counter, left for less than 5 minutes, and my phone was gone when I came back. Searched for hours only for it to reappear on the counter completely dead. I was also home alone the entire time. I rechecked the kitchen multiple times, and it definitely wasn't there until it was. I had my purse stolen. I lost some extremely sentimental things and important things. Over the next 2 years, every single thing that was inside that purse, I found in various places and times. I was tossing and catching a pair of socks in my hand, barely high enough to leave my field of vision. On the third toss, it just didn't come back down. I was in a hallway with nowhere for it to go. I searched our tiny apartment for days and never found it. Can't comprehend how it could have left the narrow hall that had no crevices or anywhere for it to go. I dropped a shirt on the floor in my bedroom and went to pick it up, but it was gone. I tore through my whole apartment looking for it. Nothing. Went back to my room after going out, and the shirt was neatly folded and laying on my pillow. Me and my sibling were playing with our stuffed animals. They had a purple stuffed Pegasus, and I had a pink stuffed unicorn. At one point, the Pegasus was thrown into the closet. We saw it land in the closet, but when we went to retrieve it, it was gone. Looked for it for days with no luck. Same thing happened to a purple blanket my sibling owned. Chalked it up to purple stealing fairies that live in our closet. I left my wallet on the roof of my car at the gas station. I drove off and it flew off the car. I couldn't find it for a couple of months. I ended up finding it just sitting inside my dresser drawer. I've had multiple instances of things appearing in my house. Once a bright green dress we didn't own, and another time a pile of coins materialized on my bed, and when I came back, they had rearranged. I had a bracelet my uncle had made for me, never took it off until one day I was typing and it was bothering me. I took it off and set it on the desk next to my laptop. It went missing for 2 years. Then one day, my toddler was playing in my new apartment in the middle of the living room. Nothing was around him. He was playing with my missing bracelet. No idea how it got there from the old place. No idea how he found it. It was so bizarre. And at number 10. One time, me and my girlfriend at the time were watching a movie in the basement of my family's house. We have a little theater area with the seats and everything. Well, I went upstairs to get something from the kitchen, and when I came back down, I saw her quickly crouch behind one of the chairs, so I was like, hey, I saw you get behind the chair. I'm not stupid. You're not scaring me. Then she walked out of the bathroom from a completely different room. I checked behind the chair and nothing was there. We were pretty freaked out. For the person that wrote number 10, come here. Move out.
The one where someone says that their purse was stolen and then they found over the next 2 years like everything that had ever been in that purse kind of reminded me of the TikTok we talked about earlier of people saying that they're finding like family heirlooms in their wallet and stuff in parking lots they've never visited before. All right, you guys, that was 23 glitch in the matrix TikToks from the scary side of TikTok. People on TikTok have been talking a lot lately about parallel realities. More specifically, people are discussing the quantum immortality theory, which is the theory that someone's consciousness could continue to exist in a parallel reality, like you jump timelines should something happen to you in your own reality, to a universe where that thing never happened, or I don't know, circumstances were just different. Think like the butterfly effect, you know, one little thing changes and your entire world changes. And in these TikToks, these posters may have just experienced something like that. Now, this first video comes from cloeboullee, who shared a story that just went mega viral on TikTok in the past couple of months. When Chloe was 16, still in high school, she went on a ski trip. She's from Australia and snow is not super common there. When it does happen, they have to take advantage. Now, she was going to be snowboarding on this trip and she was a beginner snowboarder at absolute best, always with the instructor and the rest of the group. And on this particular day, she's just snowboarding. It's a normal day, when suddenly something really weird happens.
So I was snowboarding with a big group of people, but I was the person at the very back of this group. Everyone starts to turn around this big mountain. Because I'm 5 seconds behind everyone, I turn around the mountain 5 seconds later. Mind you, it's a super busy day on the snow. It's a beautiful sunny day and there are people everywhere. And like not just us school kids, like a lot of people. But when I turn around this big mountain, everyone is gone. Everybody who was in front of me was gone, and everybody who was skiing or snowboarding behind me was gone. Like there were people who were not in the group I was snowboarding with, other people behind me. So once I went around this mountain, they should have followed. I should have been able to see everybody in front of me because after I turned this mountain, it was just a straight long slope down the hill. But I was dead alone. I'm obviously instantly confused, shocked. I don't understand what's happening. I get my phone out to call my best friend who was on this ski trip with me. And I remember so distinctly, my phone was on like 75% charge, like it was charged. But as soon as I pressed this little circle to enter my phone, my whole screen went black and the no battery signal came up. The only way I could make sense of what happened is that everybody somehow just beat me to the bottom of this course, and everyone behind me somehow went past me without me realizing. I was just like grasping at straws. So I continued to just keep snowboarding down the hill, hoping that I'd just make it to the end. The thing is that there was no end. There was no end to this course, or whatever alternate reality course I had just jumped into. As I mentioned, I was not an experienced snowboarder, so I was trying my best to snowboard, but I kept falling over. I decided to just eventually give up, clip my snowboard off, and walk. After what feels like forever, I finally came to this, what looked like an abandoned ski lift. It was really dingy and old and creaky and looked scary. I thought my best chance was to get onto this ski lift so I could get up high and have a look around, hoping that maybe I'd find where the main area is, because in the main area there's like a bar and cafes and restaurants and whatever. I thought if I can see that, I know which direction to walk in and I can just make my way over there before the sun sets. But when I get onto this ski lift, there's nothing but snow and trees. And obviously I was freaking out because it was sunset, like it was about to be dark. But then I was also thinking, how the f did this happen? Like I was with a group of people in a busy area. And also because I was a child and a beginner at snowboarding, obviously they took us to a course that was super close to like the main area. The fact that I'm now on this single seater ski lift looking out 360 views and there's nothing, I didn't know, what do you even do? And it was on that ski lift I just broke down sobbing. Like I genuinely thought I was going to die.
Now, Chloe is absolutely terrified at this point, and I wanted to pop in really fast to say I saw one comment with a lot of likes, a concerning amount of likes, where somebody said that they didn't believe her because how did she have pictures if her phone was dead? These are clearly Google stock images. Like, I'm sure you know that. The photos that she's showing were just popped in editing to give you a visualization. But yeah, the ski lift stops and it drops her off quite literally in the middle of nowhere. Nothing around at all, just empty snow. And she's literally about to give up. She's about to lay down in the snow and accept whatever her fate is, when suddenly she sees what looks like lights in the distance.
The cabin that we were staying at, the way to get to this main area to go skiing and snowboarding in was that we had to catch a shuttle bus and then an underground subway. The sun set, it's dark. You have to understand how scary it was. Because when I say dark, I mean I couldn't barely see what was in front of me. There's no city lights anywhere. I didn't have the torch on my phone to shine. Just as I was about to give up and sit down and accept what was going to happen, I saw like this glowing light in the distance. And what it led me to was like this glowing tunnel with a staircase leading down into it. And what led me to the bottom was an underground subway. How that was there, I don't know. Why it was there, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense for there to be a proper station there because I was in the middle of nowhere. But sure enough, the subway came and I jumped on it. And it took me to the shuttle buses and I took a shuttle bus back to the cabin. And when I walked into the cabin, all the school kids I was with, all the teachers that were there were all having like dinner together. And I was like, was no one looking for me? And everybody very nonchalantly, not in like even a rude way, were just like, oh, hey, Chloe, there you are. It was almost as if they were hearing me through a filter and they weren't grasping the gravity of what I was trying to say. I don't know. The whole thing was weird. The energy was off. For the next few days, I stayed in the cabin. I refused to leave the cabin.
I think that it's so spooky that Chloe said herself at the end of this video, like, what if something had happened to her? What if she had gotten lost in the snow? And then she hopped to a parallel reality in which she made it back safe and sound.
And then when I got home, things felt slightly off. I don't really know how to explain it, but for example, certain objects in my room were in like a different place. And it's not as if anybody in my family would have gone in and rearranged my room. It didn't feel like that's what happened. It felt as if that is where it belonged. But I knew that it was in a different spot before I left. Even just weird things like timing felt different. Everything was just slightly tweaked. When I told my sister about this story a few years later, she said to me, there probably is a timeline out there where you did get lost in the snow and quantum jumped. And she said there's probably a timeline out there where our family is grieving you, which is so scary and sad to think. But that's my story where if I told anybody, they probably wouldn't believe me.
It's really weird. And I always think that like these kinds of stories where people remember details so vividly, like you can see her getting so emotional during this video, retelling it, so scared all these years later. I don't know. This one really freaked me out. It's literally been in my phone's Glitch in the Matrix TikTok album album for months now, so I'm very curious to know what you all think. It's hard to follow that up, but somehow TikToker Tristangalindo manages to do just that. Except in Tristan's story, he's coming to us as the experience has literally just happened to him. Now, he's on his way home from work one day, and he works like a town or two over from where he lives. So it definitely takes a while to get there. And yet, as he's making the drive, he suddenly loses a ton of time.
I am going crazy. I don't know if I just went through like a different dimension or went through a time loop or what the just happened. Or maybe I had a stroke while driving. I don't know. I live one town over from where I work, so it takes me about 25-30 minutes to get home. All I remember was getting on the highway. My husband texts me. I look down. I text him back real fast. I look back up, and I'm no longer on the highway. Somehow, I'm in the town that I live in, and I'm on this random road that I never drive on. It's literally a road that leads behind, like, company buildings. This road, people don't drive on this road, but I'm in the town that I live in. I have made it in the town. I'm 5 minutes from my house. And when I got here, it was only 5:14. There is no possible way for me to get from my job to where I live in 14 minutes. The last thing I remember is getting on the, I'm so fucking scared I'm about to start crying. I get on the highway, I look at my phone, and I just write back, okay, and then I'm here. And I'm not like crying because I'm just crying because I'm scared. What crosses my mind is like, did I just not remember driving? But there's no fucking way I could have gotten here. Anyway, that scares me. Has anybody ever experienced that?
Now, people had a lot of responses to this. You know, some people saying, I do that all the time. I just drive and suddenly I'll realize that I have no idea how long I've been driving for. I kind of like space out. I know that's happened to me when I've been driving very tired. And it's always like a really scary experience to like look around you and realize you have no idea how you got to where you are. I think that people, I don't think it's like a super common thing. I hope most people aren't experiencing that on a daily basis, but I think it's something most of us can relate to. And Tristan responds to people saying this, that maybe he just like dissociated or something, by saying he really doesn't think that's what happened, and he has texts to prove it.
I'm going to show you guys the timestamps, and the timestamps are the reason why it's not making sense to me. Okay, a lot of people are saying, well, you dissociated, and I get that. It could be a possibility. I don't know what happened. I made a video to see if anybody else experienced it before, but the reason why I don't feel like it's that is because the times are not adding up. Okay, just hear me out. He texts me at 5:15 to pick up some tamales. I write back at 5:15 and say, yeah. I look up, it's 5:14, I'm on that road. Okay, when you dissociate, you lose time. You don't gain time. I understand it was only 60 seconds, but that's weird. Okay. He writes back, thank you. At this point, I'm scared as and I immediately text him back, telling him what the just happened to me. That message was sent at 5:58 p.m. So if it went from 5:15 and then 5:58, I dissociated, I lost time. I gained a minute here and then lost 44 minutes. A total of 45-minute issue. That's what doesn't make sense to me. That's why I made the video, because I don't feel like I dissociated. I feel like something really happened that was weird. But you guys are going to believe what you want to believe.
People have tons of theories here, from quantum immortality theory to dissociating while driving. Someone even said maybe seizures, which if that's the case, I'm just so glad that he's okay. I'm so glad he's okay anyways. But one thing, as I'm scrolling through the comments and trying to see what netizens are saying, one comment I keep seeing is, oh my God, this literally just happened to another woman who had an experience in her car as well. Like, this is so weird. They were literally posted like a day or a few days apart. So I go and I look, and there is a TikToker. Her name is biggsdiamond. I'm so thankful she's okay, because she had something really similar happen to her. She is in the car with her children driving down a road she's very familiar with. And she suddenly looks up and she's like, not on that road anymore. She's nowhere near that road, has no idea where she is at all. She says she glanced down at her phone for a second, glanced back up, and suddenly everything around her was different.
I was driving, coming from Walmart, me and my kids. And when I tell y'all, I take this same road in the same way every time. Like, even my daughters said the same thing, y'all. I look down at my phone. I kid y'all not. When I look back up from looking at my phone, me and my kids was somewhere else, y'all. I cannot make this up. I don't even know what to call it right now. I don't even know what it is right now. I'm still in the shock, right? So look, y'all, when I look up, me and my kids, when I look up first. And the first thing I say is, where the am I at? Like, I didn't even recognize where I was at. I was not where I was just at before I looked at my phone, y'all. I promise y'all, I was somewhere else. Soon as my kids look up, they say the same, like, Mama, where are we at? We was not just right here. Like, we was not just right here. I turned my GPS on. I put my address in. I was like 30 minutes from my house. I don't even know how I even got that far. That's what the GPS said. I don't even know. So I turned in this place to do a U-turn to go back the other way, y'all. When I tell y'all, when I pull out of this place to go back the other way and I come to a stop, while I'm sitting at a stop trying to make a left turn, a car slammed into the back of me hard as y'all. I cannot kid y'all. This is why I'm in the hospital right now with this neck brace. Like, my kids are getting checked out. They in the other room. My youngest child, they got her in the room with me because she was so hysterical and she did not want to leave my side. She like still in shock about everything. I'm not even understanding. Like, I don't know if it's called a timeline jump, a dimension jump. I don't even know what the it is, but y'all put some comments down below because right now I'm not understanding what the just happened, y'all. And y'all, what's so crazy about the car is they saying they didn't even see me. It's like I just appeared out of nowhere and they didn't even know I was there until they hit the back of my yeah, it was like I came through a portal or something. Either I came through a portal or they came through the portal behind me, and motherfuckers didn't realize because they did not even see me until they actually impacted my car, y'all. And I was sitting there when they slammed in the back of my car, y'all. I promise y'all. So, okay, y'all, doctor here, I gotta go.
At the end of this, she says, like, did she just suddenly hop through the portal right in front of this car that literally hit her? Did the person just hop through the portal right after her and smack right into her because they didn't know what was going on either? The person driving the other car said that they just did not see her at all. And granted, of course, that's probably what most people would say after rear-ending someone that hard. Did she slip through realities? Did she go through a portal like she said? All I know is that I'm so happy she and her daughters are safe. That had to be absolutely terrifying. As far as I know, she hasn't posted anything, at least on TikTok since, so I really hope that she's recovering okay. I just can't even imagine how scary that must have been. But so bizarre. What do you think about this sudden increase in these glitch in the matrix stories and experiences where people are maybe jumping to alternate timelines? I'm really curious what your thoughts are on this. This poster came to TikTok to share her first ever glitch in the matrix experience, and it's a classic item duplication glitch that honestly has me feeling a little weirded out, I'll admit it.
I'm at work right now, but I just had my first glitch in the matrix experience, question mark. You know, all those stories where people are like, I broke a cup, but I found the exact same cup in my cabinet later, or I'm wearing a necklace that I hadn't bought until a few months later, stuff like that. So my hair was super frizzy today, and so I put it up in this clip, right? White marble clip, I think from like Dollar Tree. But then I was at the orthodontist today, looking at my Invisalign or something, and it hurt when my head was against the chair, so I took the clip out and I put it in my pocket. So then I'm out of the orthodontist and I'm walking to my car and I pull my keys out of my pocket, but something crashes to the ground at the same time. And so I look down and it's the clip. The clip fell out of my pocket as I pulled my keys out and landed on the ground in front of me. So I pick the clip up and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And I put my hair back up really, really quick. And I get in my car and I drive off to wherever, my work. So now I'm parked outside my work, my hair is up, I turn my car off, and I put my keys in my pocket, but I feel something else in my pocket. Clip was in my pocket, but it was in my hair at the same time, and I only have one of them. I'm sure someone that works at Dollar Tree is gonna tell me they like came in a 2-pack or something, so I definitely had to. And sure, but then why did it fall out of my pocket? How did I put it in my hair? And then how did another one end up in my pocket is the question.
Like she said, the most likely thing here is that these were sold in 2-packs and she just had 2 of them, but why would it have been in our pocket? I don't know. I feel like us girls, we know what's in our pockets, okay? We don't have a ton of pocket space. We know what we're packing in there. And just an extra hair clip, I feel like that's just so random and strange, and she seemed so weirded out by it that it's just not the norm, clearly. But hey, free hair clip, you can't complain. I stumbled across some new Mandela effects that are currently going viral on TikTok, and they're pretty weird. The first one, I think I might be a little late to this one when I was searching for more info on it on TikTok. A lot of the posts were coming from like 2021, 2022, but this video from woahthatsstrange talks about the fact that Tinkerbell may not have played as big of a role as you think in the intros of your favorite Disney films.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Tinkerbell fly over the Disney castle at the beginning of the movies, like the intro to Disney movies? And in the old movies, she flies over the castle and then comes and dots the I in the word Disney. Well, Disney is saying that that is not true. That's never been an intro to a single Disney movie. But I remember she would fly over the castle, and that's her pixie dust going over the castle, and she flies up and dots the I in Disney. And Disney saying it never happened. And then I go look at all the intros to Disney movies and it doesn't happen in a single intro. Am I wrong? I'm not going crazy. I swear, other people have seen this and they are saying that it's a Mandela effect. We're in a different timeline. I mean, don't y'all remember this? How can you say that that was not Tinkerbell? That was the intro to Disney movies. And for them to say that it never happened, this is definitely a different timeline.
There have been many attempts to debunk this, and maybe you would think that some people have. Some people saying it's this like Disney Fast Play logo that came from DVDs and stuff, but I remember, you know, the little arch going over the castle, and then Tinkerbell comes out and she puts the dot on the eye of Disney. And it's really weird because like the more I think about it and the more I try to rationalize to myself that I must just not be remembering it correctly, the more I'm like digging my heels in. Because no, I remember that intro so distinctly. And again, I was a kid when I would have seen it, so maybe I'm misremembering, but this is honestly one of the Mandela effects that's freaked me out the most since the Fruit of the Looms cornucopia. You know, where Fruit of the Looms was like, no, we never had a cornucopia, and I quite literally lost all sense of self. Now, another one that's going really viral concerns a very popular piece of art that people are convinced has changed.
There's a really big, supposedly new Mandela effect that will convince you you're in a different timeline. Are you ready? Do you remember like Michelangelo's David statue? And do you remember his eyes? Try to picture what they looked like. Did they have little concave hearts in them? I Googled it because I did not believe this. I was like, this is a joke. This is a prank. Like Google's playing a prank. Look at this freaking Google post right here. If you know, you know. Something just happened spiritually where things got a little different, and this is part of it. So whatever reality we're living in, it's the one with the heart-shaped eyes. And I'm here for it, although I kind of hate it. I hate this. What was he thinking? Putting heart-shaped pupils in the freaking statue. If you remember the statue this way, good for you. A lot of us don't. And a lot of us are really disturbed, and overnight it seems there's supposedly like a little shift in reality, like a little tick over, and overnight this freaking statue has heart-shaped eyes. That's all.
For me, this one doesn't hit crazy hard. I didn't, go to art classes in school. I was a band kid because my parents were like musicians, so I didn't have any time for like extracurriculars outside of my music ones. So this one didn't like startle me all that much, but it really has seemed to take the TikTok community by storm, because there are so many people who are like, no, I have spent hours studying that face of the statue of David, drawing that face, and I don't remember hearts in the eyes.
Hundreds of thousands of people are joining me to discuss the most recent Mandela effect, which is the statue of David suddenly has heart-shaped pupils. A lot of really great points are made, so I'm going to share both sides with you. On the side of this is for sure Mandela effect thing, multiple people have tattoos of David, and they have tattoos of his face really close up, and they did not discuss the heart-shaped pupils with their tattoo artist, and there's no heart-shaped pupils on their tattoo. And if you're getting a tattoo of a face, you would for sure discuss whether or not the classic heart-shaped eyes should be in the tattoo. Another one is multiple students in college have drawn for many hours at a time as a class his face in detail, and there was no hearts, and they were drawing his face specifically. One girl even had a textbook that used to have a photo of him, and she went to go look, and there's just no photo, and she remembered there being a photo, and she's like, where's the photo? Lots of stories like this where people had experiences knowing there was a picture, knowing there was eyes, whatever. One girl has a t-shirt that she's had forever with circle eyes, and guess what? There's still circle eyes on the t-shirt, which is really weird because of this. The Mandela effect implies that we are in a reality where he's always had heart-shaped pupils. And so a lot of you are like, I remember him having flat eyes with no heart-shaped pupils, but I'm going to my textbooks, I'm going to the pictures, and he has heart eyes, so I guess I was wrong. That's the whole point of the Mandela effect. We remember something different than our reality currently has. Some of us are from this reality. Some of us have always seen the heart-shaped pupils. Many of us are from a different reality. And lastly, a lot of people are like, it's 17 feet tall, you wouldn't see the pupils. Most of us do not know this statue from visiting Florence and looking at it in person. Most of us know it from pictures. We know what his face looks like, we've drawn it, we've seen it. We know his face because we see pictures. We're not looking up, we're looking right at him. And his face is iconic in our reality. In the reality I'm from, I know what David's face looks like. That's why everyone's freaking out in my comment section. That's why there's hundreds of thousands of people watching, because when we think of the statue of David, we know what he looks like. Lastly, oh my gosh, I immediately said this to my husband. Has he always had that grimace? Has he always looked angry? And my husband was like, he did not used to look that way. I didn't want to say this because it sounded crazy, but I have so many people being like, that was not his expression. There's this little thing that he used to not have.
What a lot of people say is that the statue of David never had pupils at all. And I don't think that I remember this statue well enough to say one way or the other. I'm just not someone who has like a ton of knowledge on this sculpture, but the way that other people are reacting to it, I just really wanted to share it with you. So let me know, are you from the reality where Tinkerbell put the dot on the eyes of Disney in the intro of every single Disney film, and where the statue of David did not have hearts in his eyes? Let me know, because we might have been reality neighbors. Now, this glitch in the Matrix story comes from Nicole, or Cookaholicwife on TikTok, who says that she had a crazy experience. She originally submitted it to Auntie Matrix on TikTok, but wanted to retell it because it's such a crazy story, of the time that she and her friend toured a house that would later disappear. I don't mean it was torn down. I don't mean it was moved from the spot that it was in. It never ever existed, and she has such a distinct memory of this home because something quite traumatic happened to her there. So let me set the stage for you here. Nicole and her friend Kaylee are currently looking for a place to live around this point in time. I think she says in the video that this story happened like 2 decades ago. They're looking through the newspapers one day when they come across a house for rent. And it's on like the other side of town. It's kind of away from like their friends and stuff like that. Not a side of town they're that familiar with, but they know roughly where this house is. So they decide to go there. They're noticing a lot of good things about the house from the jump. Like, it's a nice normal house. It has parking. They won't have to have their friends park on the street when they come over for parties and stuff. But it's when they get into the house that things start to get really bizarre.
So it is a single family home. There's like 4 or 5 steps up on a concrete porch, and then the house is basically just like a square. Next to the driveway is, just like he said, the laundromat. And the parking lot of the laundromat kind of like bleeds into the yard of the house that we're looking at. So you could just park there and walk right over. This is great. On the other side, there's a house that has a big tree in the front yard, and there's 3 windows. The middle window is broken. The only reason I can think of for why this stood out to me is because kind of like a safety issue. Like, we're not super familiar with this neighborhood, so like, is it safe for us to live here? The guy comes out onto the deck. Side note here is, I don't know where he would have parked because there was not a car in front of me in the driveway. It's creepy, but it just plays into the entire story at this point. Just anyway, side note. All right, so we walk up the steps, we introduce ourselves. Nothing about this guy is remarkable. He is not giving off any creepy vibes, just like he did not on the phone. We walk into the house, and houses in this area were built in like the 40s and 50s. He said him and his brother were fixing it up on the phone, right? But we walk in and it's very dark, and it's very dirty, and it's very dusty. There's no lights on, and I don't know if the electricity was off or if the lights were off because he didn't want us to see how dirty it was. There's a couple windows in the house, and there's like one in the kitchen, and there's a curtain over it, and the sunlight is coming in, and this is our only light. And like you see the dust particles and everything. It's very dirty and very dusty. We walk through into the living room, and there's built-in bookcases. And I'm trying to like focus on like positive things other than like, ooh, this house is gross. Kaylee and I are like avid readers. So I'm like, oh, cool, we have bookcases. But then there's a boarded up window, and I'm like, what is that about? And he says, oh, well, it has to do with the shed that they built outside, which doesn't make sense for the layout of the house being a square. But I'm like, oh, no, whatever. Again, it's not quite a red flag, but it is still a little bit weird.
Now, at this point, he takes them to one room in the house, and he says that they're gonna fight over it because he knows how girls are with their clothes, insinuating that there's some kind of like huge walk-in closet. They're kind of giggling. I mean, things are weird clearly at this point. The place is dirty, it's dark, it's off, but you know, it's not that bad. You know, they're keeping an open mind, but once they get into the bedroom, this supposed closet, and this gives me chills, is like pitch black. And the guy wants them to go into it.
The closet is, the framing of the drywall is there, but there's no doors. And it is a pitch black hole. Like, hand in front of your face, you could not see. This bedroom is one of the darkest rooms that we've been in. And again, the dust particles in the sunlight coming in through the curtain. It's very, very dim. And he says something like, oh yeah, that we made it like a walk-in closet. You can walk in, flip on the light switch, and go all the way back and see it. And I'm kind of like, if you wanted us to go in the closet, why wouldn't you have left the light on? And I'm feeling uncomfortable, but I'm still trying to like justify things. And we talk about something else, and he tries to get us to go into the closet again. And at this point, it's weird. We have all the red flags. They're fully waving in place. Kaylee is standing behind me, and I can't see her, but I can feel like the tension in her. And I hear her voice in my head, and she's like, we need to get the out of here. And I'm like, I mentally respond to her that I know, but we need to play it cool, because if we don't, we're not going to make it out. I don't want to turn and look at her. I don't want to make eye contact. I don't want this man to know that he has gotten to us at all. And we're going back and forth, and we're coming up with excuses about like, oh, we got to meet our friends, or we really don't have that many clothes, or whatever we are saying. And that is the last memory that I have in the house. The next thing I know, we are in my car, and we're a couple miles away at a red light. And now we're at the point where multiple things are happening at once. Like, I felt like I was seeing myself outside of myself, and none of the things were making sense as they're all happening. And this is very, very fast. Kaylee's talking and her mouth is moving, and I can't hear her. The clock on the dash is hours later since we've left the house. We're at a busy intersection that we couldn't have been sitting at for very long, because somebody would have honked. Somebody would have rear-ended us before we had sat at that light for more than, one light cycle. None of this makes sense, and I don't understand. And there's this audible popping noise, and then I can hear. And Kaylee is talking like she's been talking for a while, and she's talking about like, I don't know, it's like a project for like our speech class or something. And I think I just blurted out, like, how did we get out of the house? And she doesn't know.
So Nicole comes too. And I mean, they're like in an intersection. She's driving. Her friend is in the passenger seat just talking. And Nicole's like, how did we get here? So they end up going home that night, and it's weird. They tell their friends after, like, we have a crazy story to tell you, basically. However, if that was all that happened, we probably wouldn't be here. I mean, that's a terrifying story. Definitely like a little glitchy, because how did you teleport from that house to this random intersection and you're driving and stuff? But kind of like Nicole explained it, maybe she was dissociating, maybe like she was so in fight or flight that her brain just didn't remember the details of getting the heck out of there. But this is where it gets weird, because when they drive by this house again, it's not there. everything else that was around this house is there. Like the parking lot for the laundromat, these trees, this house with the 3 big windows. That house, the one that they toured, is the only thing missing.
The gravel of the parking lot for the laundromat is here, and the neighbor's tree is here. And the middle window is still broken, and the house that we went into is not there. And I'm like, that's not real. That's not possible. Kaylee also sees this. We then each also, and I didn't say this in the initial story to not drag it out, but we both initially see this when we're not together as well, that the house is not there. And at that point, we then discuss it. And you can't rationalize this. There was a house that is now not a house in a spot where a house could not have fixed. I realize that sounds insane. So we just pretend like it didn't happen. Nobody knew exactly where we went anyway. Like, they just knew we looked at a house on X street. So it's not like anybody else would have noticed the house disappeared. It was a pretty nondescript house.
Now, in a follow-up in a part 2 that Nicole posted, she answered a lot of people's questions, and you can watch the whole thing on her account. She also seemingly has told a lot more stories around this that I haven't watched yet, so if you haven't gotten enough of the disappearing house story, make sure to check her out. She did talk about changes that had happened for her and Kaylee, and you know, kind of equates them to, yes, I had some personality changes. Kaylee also apparently had some bigger things happen that she posted about on her account as well. But as for Nicole, who's the only one I'm really focusing on right now, she says, you know, like, I don't really know if I was more outgoing and social all of a sudden because it was just that kind of formative time in my life where I just wanted to be out and social all the time, and before this she was really an introvert, or was it because she, you know, hopped timelines to another world where this house never existed?
In November or October of last year, I was in New Orleans, and I had said, oh, I should just go see a psychic while I'm there. And I'm walking around and I just randomly see a sign and it says like psychic tarot card readings. And I walk in and I just ask if anybody's available. They say yes, and they sit me down with this woman. She's like, what do you want to know? And I'm like, I don't actually. I just want you to have the cards tell me something. Because I don't want to come out and ask. I don't want to ask. I don't want to give too much information. So the first thing, she pulls the cards, and I'll be honest, I don't remember what was what because this entire thing blows my mind. We'll get into that one second. So she pulls the cards and she's like, you really, really need to be prepared and aware of a big change that is happening to your career in the next 6 months, and it's going to be mentally a lot, and I need you to be prepared for this. Side note, she was 100% accurate. The reason why I could not make this video in May like I had intended to be the full 20-year exact time frame of this is because of what happened at work. So I'm kind of reeling off of that, but I bring up the courage to ask her a roundabout question about the house. And I said something like, okay, so my friend and I had this experience years ago, and it was so impossible to believe that we've kind of questioned our sanity. Do the cards say anything? Do you get any impression on this? And this woman looks me dead in the face and she says, you were there. It happened. It's real. I still haven't fully processed that. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot to hear. I didn't ask anything else. Like, I was just so mind blown at the information that she told me that I didn't ask anything else. The only thought I remember having is, I need Kaylee here. We need to do this together. This isn't questions. This isn't something I need to be doing alone. I did tell Kaylee about this afterwards and so forth, so we would like to do this at some point. So anyway, speaking of timelines and all of this, Kaylee and I were talking this past Sunday, like early afternoon, talking about how we feel like something's about to change, like we're like dangling over a cliff. Things are just weird. And I brought up to her that we were at the 20-year mark, just past it, for the house, and that I needed to stop making excuses and go to the Historical Society. And I said, I'm going this Friday, the 26th, I'm going. No more excuses.
And when she is on the road to the Historical Society, which she already had a weird feeling about, she was already kind of trying to talk herself out of, she literally almost gets hit by a car that came out of nowhere.
And I'm getting ready to make a left-hand turn, and I look left and there's nothing. I look right and there's nothing. I look back left. I'm looking left as I'm turning and there's no cars blocking my line of sight. But as I am turning and blocking the street where I'm like this, there is an SUV barreling down at me at twice the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit at least. Thankfully, it was a new SUV that had like the automatic braking feature because they were not there. I was looking the entire time. And then they were there. And if it wasn't for that feature, I would not be here making the video. So, didn't exactly inspire any confidence to keep driving to the Historical Society, but I did. And I'll be honest, I literally talked myself out of a panic attack the entire way there, the entire way back. Historical Society, I don't really have great news. They go off of last name for everything. And because I do not have a last name for the land, there's not a lot that they think they're going to be able to pull. They took my information. They have my phone number and my email. They'll call me if the more detailed researcher finds anything. I think it's probably going to be a dead end, to be honest. But we tried, you know? And then last thing I'm just going to say about this is on the way home, I told myself I was going to drive past that house again. I needed to close this chapter to some degree and drive past this house again. It was not going to hold this power of being scary over me anymore. And I drive down the street and I'm okay. Like, I'm not as anxious or nervous as I had been the entire time. And I come up to what used to be the laundromat, and the house is still not there. The house with the 3 windows on the side is still there, and the windows fixed, and the big tree is still in the yard. And it's not there, but it didn't terrify me the way that it used to. So that's something.
It's so weird, you guys. It's literally so weird. And she remembers this story so well all of these years later. I totally see why Auntie Matrix would have originally talked about this one, because this is one of the craziest Glitch in the Matrix stories I've ever heard. If you don't know who Auntie Matrix is, also, she exclusively talks about like Glitch in the Matrixes and scary stuff on her TikTok. So check her out. I'll have her listed down below as well because she's one of my favorite TikTokers. But yeah, what do you guys think here? My theory is that they hopped to a reality where that house never existed. And I know what that sounds like, but hey, you're watching a compilation of Glitch in the Matrix TikToks, so can you really blame me? We are now getting into a segment of the video I'd like to call Aliens. I didn't really have anywhere else to put these TikToks. I don't ever make alien content, I feel like, and if I have talked about UFOs or aliens or whatever, I feel like it really has just gone in the Glitch in the Matrix TikTok videos. However, aliens are such a hot topic on TikTok right now. I feel like you can't scroll without somebody talking about the aliens in the ocean that became a topic of conversation after a recent congressional hearing on UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon, which is just an alternative to UFOs, unidentified flying object. One of the people who's being quoted and talked about the most is a man named Luis Elizondo, who, according to his own bio, managed a highly sensitive special access program on behalf of the White House and the National Security Council.
It is my honor and privilege to testify before you on the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, formerly known as UFOs. On behalf of our brave men and women in uniform and across the intelligence community, as well as my fellow Americans who have awaited this day, thank you for your leadership on this important matter. Let me be clear, UAP are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies.
So he's not saying like, oh, these might be real. He's saying they are real. But I was so confused as to where this conversation about aliens in the ocean was coming from. Because in the days that followed the congressional hearing, my entire For You page was videos like this one from Astro Alexandra talking about the aliens in the ocean.
Are there aliens in the ocean? Last week, there was a House oversight meeting titled Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, UAP, Exposing the Truth. In this meeting, 4 government officials and members of the military testified that they believe there are non-human intelligent UAPs. They believe that, However, to date, not a single one of them has ever been able to provide a single piece of hard evidence. Luis Elizondo has also admitted that his friends in the government have in the past given him fake UAP information before. And so then the Pentagon releases its annual UAP report, and they reviewed 757 new cases of UAPs. Of those, they said that 21 cases merit further analysis due to anomalous characteristics and/or behaviors. They also say it is important to underscore that to date, AARO has discovered no evidence of extraterrestrial beings, activity, or technology. So the Pentagon is saying we have things that we don't know what they are, but we don't know what they are, so we can't say they're aliens. And the government did not confirm aliens in the ocean. The ocean thing was Congresswoman Lauren Boebert asking them if there are alien bases in the ocean, and they said they haven't heard that.
In your investigations, have you come across any data or visual evidence like sonar readings or underwater footage of these UAPs?
I have not beyond what's in the report.
So it's up to you who you want to believe. I personally believe in aliens, but I can't believe that they've been to Earth until I see hard evidence, undisputed proof, and every other option has been exhausted.
Another one from Ari Lexington, or justarrii on TikTok, literally garnered almost 4 million views talking about the subject.
I believe that outer space is a distraction, and space is really under the ocean. Space is not real. It never has been real. It's never going to be real. It's a distraction. And for content purposes, I'm completely crazy. Everything I'm about to say is completely alleged, and I don't know what the I'm talking about. In 2014, researchers found a body of water 430 miles under the Earth's surface. This body of water had 3 times more water than the actual Earth itself. The Earth is 71% water. They said that this body of water took a fourth state. It was not a solid, liquid, or a gas. It's some sort of unexplainable substance. Only 5% of the ocean has ever been explored, so this would explain space being at the bottom of the ocean. Because how is it possible that you have built rocket ships and launched human beings to outer space to explore the moon and other planets, but only 5% of something that's in your own backyard has been explored? Me personally, I'm not surprised. This is not going to be the first thing you see about aliens. This is not going to be the last thing you see about aliens.
But every time I tried to track down, like, what is the exact quote people are talking about here? Is there footage I'm missing? Like, what are we looking at, really? I couldn't find an exact quote that people are listing. And I'm gonna be really honest with you. I am currently in a 3-week jury trial. And this 2.5-hour congressional hearing, while I love you and I love making these videos, I can't listen to the whole dang thing. But I did track down at least what I think is what people are referencing. This testimony comes from Michael Schellenberger, who is a founder of Public, which is a news source outlet. And he covered UAPs ranging from 1947 all the way to 2023. And specifically in his testimony, he talks about aliens around the ocean.
The report to Congress details in detail various UAPs, including spheres, orbs, discs, saucers, ovals, triangles, boomerang, arrowhead, and irregular organic. The report describes various incidents found in the human intelligence databases. One involved orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of its patrol area. In another incident, the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier watched a small orange-red sphere rapidly descend from a high altitude of 100 to 200 yards directly above the flight deck of the CVN, or aircraft carrier. And since my reporting on this immaculate constellation last month, another source came forward who told me that they saw a roughly 13-minute long, high-definition, full-color video of a white orb UAP coming out of the ocean approximately 20 miles off the coast of Kuwait. It was filmed from a helicopter. Then halfway through the video, the person said the orb is joined by another orb that briefly comes into the frame from the left before rapidly moving again out of the frame. The person discovered the video on SIPR, the Secure Internet Protocol Router Network, which the DoD uses to transmit classified information.
Look, I'm not a government official, and I am certainly not here to try to convince you or dissuade you from believing that there are aliens in the ocean or anything else. If you're asking for my personal opinion, I do think that aliens exist, but I have never seen an alien video, a UFO sighting, anything like that has ever fully convinced me that we have documented them in any capacity. It's like Bigfoot. Do I think that there's some kind of creature out there that people are seeing and we've categorized as Bigfoot, and maybe we just don't know every single species of animal in the world? Kinda. But There's nothing clear enough or well documented enough for me at least to believe that we have had alien sightings here on Earth. And if we haven't documented them. At least not outside of, really grainy phone videos, which maybe I'll be convinced otherwise by the end of this video because there's a lot of UFO sightings on TikTok right now. That being said, I was so curious how people were reacting to all of this, and I found some interesting TikToks I thought I'd share with you. This one from Locksmith is a very realistic reenactment of the government announcing aliens in the ocean.
We've gathered you all here today to let you know that the space aliens are currently vacationing in the ocean. Did we check if they're just fish? They're not just fish. Oh my God, for the 600th time, no, there are no pictures. A bunch of white people put some shoddy Ring cameras down there and they broke almost instantly. We will do everything in our power to keep all of you safe, even though we did get a text from the aliens that says, quote, "We wouldn't touch any of you with a 10-foot pole." No, yeah, they can text, but not FaceTime. Apparently they said their front cameras are broken, so I'm just gonna call in Neve for that part of the investigation. Holy shit, there's actually one right there. No, that's a bug. That's a bug. Yeah, I am texting with one of the aliens. It's not like anything serious yet. Stop. Well, we basically remembered the ocean existed, and then we were like, that checks out. We're going off of what we call scientific vibes. Any questions? What's that? Universal healthcare? For the aliens or for you? For the aliens, all set. Not for the country. Not for this country, no.
You have videos like that all the way to this one from supremetingz saying that no, aliens are not in the ocean. The ocean is space.
Y'all keep talking about it's aliens in the water, it's aliens in the water. It's not aliens in the water. The water is how you get to space. Water is a portal. You can't go up to get out of space. You gotta go down. The aliens are not in the water. Space is the water. That's why the water is infinite. That's why we don't know how deep the water is. The water is space. The water is space. The aliens are coming through the water from space.
A personal favorite came from Nani Reno, who basically talked to one of the aliens, who confirmed that Earth is basically a prison planet.
So why are you guys in the ocean? What's that about? You trying to get away from us?
Yes and no. This is a prison planet for us. Probably you too, I'm not sure.
What?
Yeah, we get sent here when we do something bad. They send you here to fend for yourself, and sometimes they give you faulty equipment, like the invisibility goes off, or the gravitational field around the ship that we create, because it has its own gravitational field. It tends to like glitch sometimes, and we get seen, and sometimes we crash, and then you guys find us and probe us and keep us hostage and, ask us questions and things, and this is really where we go for punishment.
What?
So, yeah. Or the occasional field trip of the troubled youth that we have. If they have aspirations of taking over galaxies or harnessing the power of other living beings, they get sent here as a
We are your Beyond Scared Straight?
I don't know what that is.
Of course. Now, all of this conversation around aliens on TikTok has some people sharing their own alien stories or experiences that they think could have been tied to an alien anyways. This video from Sarahtonen opens off with a strong, when I was in high school, I was abducted by aliens. She basically says that every single day she would go from her house to her boyfriend's house. She even gives us a visual of exactly what the road looked like. Artistic queen. It's literally just a 2-lane road that connected her home to her boyfriend's house, and that's really all there was to it. She drove that road all the time until one day when she drove it, it was not the same experience.
Well, I was going down that street and just driving my car by myself, and all of a sudden the dash on my car goes out. All the lights in my car are off. And this was in a span of probably 3 seconds that all of this took place. And I recognized that the lights in my car just went out, and I started thinking, what the f-? And before I could say, I blacked out. Absolutely no recollection of what happened after that, but then I wake up and my car is still off. All of a sudden, the lights in my car all turn on, the radio turns on, and I'm driving. It's not on the gas, but I'm in drive, and I'm driving. And I'm thinking, whoa, that was really weird. And I start looking around. I'm not on that road anymore. I am on a dirt road with no lights anywhere to be seen.
I don't recognize the dirt road, never been on the dirt road, have no clue where I am at all. So I grab my phone to start navigating where I am. I'm freaking out, of course. My phone's dead. Completely dead. I don't remember if it was 100% charged, but I know that it most certainly wasn't close to dying. So my only option at this point is to just keep driving. I'm driving for a good 5 minutes, panicking, crying, sobbing. I'm 17, I have no idea what just happened to me. And in the distance, I start seeing some lights. So I'm like, thank God, I'm close to a road. Pull up to where the lights are. I pull up to the original road that I was on. Now, there was one little dirt road going this way. The only thing about this little dirt road is that the only way that you could get onto this road coming this way was from a city about 30 minutes away. So one of two things would have had to happen for me to get where I was on that dirt road. First one would be to go all the way around the city and then down to this dirt road, or I would have had to drive about 10 minutes down the road, turn around, and then start driving down this road just to then turn around and then come back onto that road. But mind you this, there's no way that could have happened because I looked at the time. All of this happened in about 10 minutes. So there's no way that I could have gone either one around the whole city through the dirt road or went 10 minutes down the road, turned around, then got onto that street. It would have taken at least 20 minutes for me to get onto that road. So the math was not mathing. And I've told people from my hometown this story, and they have no clue how I ended up on that road. No clue. I ended up going home, crying, sobbing, telling my parents all about it. I'd never even heard of that dirt road because it's so tiny and it's so covered with trees. Like, people just like looked past it all the time because it was just this tiny little dirt road in the middle of nowhere in our city. No one went down it unless you were like working at a farm like down the way. Still to this day, I'm absolutely stumped at what could have happened to me other than I was abducted by aliens.
Now, this story to me sounds like a glitch in the matrix, kind of like the ones that we talked about earlier, where people experienced like maybe a reality jump, or they lost all of this time, wound up on a road they never would normally drive on. And this video was actually posted like over the summer too. This was not like a super recent TikTok, but she feels like it might have been aliens. So I'm putting it in this part of the video, but let me know what you think. Now, the next TikTok comes from a user named cryptidsexposed. In 1994, this man claims that his daughter was taken by sky people.
In 1994, our daughter came out of her bedroom one morning and came over to my wife and said, "Last night I was flying." She says to her, "You were flying?" And she said, "Yeah, the sky people took me." And my wife was a little confused. She was like, "So, like, you had a dream?" And she says, "No, I was flying. I was in the air." And I was upset because I didn't have my blankie. She took her blankie everywhere with her. And my wife said, "So, like, what do you mean?" She goes, "The sky people took me. I was in the sky flying. I was waving at you guys. I could see the house." And this kind of freaked my wife out, so she questioned her a little bit more. And she totally believed her. And I think I had gone to work that morning. When I came home, she told me about it, and we were both a little freaked out about it. And we talked about it. And it's always just been a thing we've kind of joked about. My daughter talking about the sky people.
Now, you might have noticed at the end of this video, it ends really abruptly, and I was scrolling through his account, and there is like a part 2 and a part 3, but they don't make any sense in correlation to this story. I feel like there's a part that must be missing because he suddenly starts talking about an episode of something, and then in part 3 goes into talking about the congressional hearing on aliens that happened in November. So I feel like there has to be something missing because, like, I'm not even going to show those parts to you. They just make no sense in correlation with this story. But I still thought it was interesting enough. His daughter being taken by the sky people was creepy enough. You had to hear this part of the story at least. I really hope he comes out with the rest of it sometime. One TikToker, ti.themadwoman, thinks that the reason we're getting so much increased UFO footage and alien footage on our timelines is because the aliens are about to reveal themselves.
Are you guys seeing the increased UFO activity videos on this app? So I'm personally stoked for this. So something that you may not know about me is that my favorite conspiracy theory is that the reason that like Mexico had their hearing on alien remains and the US government had its hearing on UFOs is because they're actually prepping us for the fact that the aliens are coming out in 2025. This is my favorite conspiracy theory. I'm stoked for it. My friends think I'm nuts. It's one of my bad takes. Everybody thinks I'm nuts. What's new there? But I'm really excited for it. I'm stoked. The videos are very convincing if you haven't seen any of them. A lot of them tend to go up and then come down though. So, I don't know. See what you can go find.
I think the theory is interesting. I'm not gonna hold my breath on an alien reveal in 2025, but if it happens, this is going to be the happiest human being on planet Earth. But I was wondering, you know, what are these UFO sightings? Like, I have seen people talking so much about the aliens in the ocean in this congressional hearing, but like, what are these UFO sightings? So I found a few of the most popular ones. This one is from Ash Rose 824 and takes place in Arizona. And in this video, it's not super clear, but you can see a strange formation of lights in the sky.
Oh, it's okay.
It's gone. No, it's still there. It's still there.
It's hiding in the clouds. I'm zooming in.
Clouds. That's what my brother said. In the clouds.
Yes, I'm zooming in, babe. I can see the saucers in my zoom.
I know I can see it.
You can see it, Zaid, huh?
I can barely see it.
This video has 8 million views on TikTok. Like, that's absolutely crazy. People are so into these supposed UFO sightings. Another one of the really popular ones comes from jesterlloyd. If I'm not mistaken, this one was in New Mexico. I might be wrong, but in this one, it's just a bunch of flashing lights in the sky. Very traditional UFO, if you will.
Holy sh**. What the hell is that?
What is happening? You guys see this? Oh my god, what the f is happening? What is that? What is that?
And listen, are these videos weird? For sure. I mean, I don't know what those things are. Probably drones though. If we're looking at grainy iPhone quality camera footage in the middle of the night, I'm just not immediately going to say, yeah, that's a UFO in the sky, especially not when drones exist. I don't know. I don't know what these things are. But what I will tell you is very concerning is that there are videos that are going really viral of supposed UFO sightings that clearly are digitally created and even say it in the description of these videos, but a lot of people aren't reading it and they're seeing these and immediately thinking that they are like real UFOs, real alien videos, whatever. And it's really interesting. I had posted about the aliens in the ocean on my Instagram. I made this really silly video where I was like, hey, sorry, blacked out in a grief-induced spiral. What do you mean there are aliens in the ocean? Because I had just lost my dog. I was, and I'm still not, in a great place. And I meant it very jokingly. Everybody was talking about it, but I got just roasted in the comments of that, of people who don't follow me, who didn't really understand, you know, that I was not being super serious, who said, you know, you are blatantly spreading misinformation on the internet. Like me, when I spread misinformation, I was shocked because to me, it was so clearly a joke. But there are a lot of people who are really up in arms about this, and I kind of couldn't understand it in that moment. I felt very like, what am I doing? Like, this is clearly, I'm not being super serious. I'm not getting on the internet and saying that these things are true. I'm just making a joke out of it. But then I see things like that and I kind of get it because it is just becoming really widespread misinformation. I mean, to the point where I couldn't even figure out the source exactly of where we were talking about aliens in the ocean itself. I knew it came from the congressional hearing. I couldn't find anyone quoting an exact phrase or talking about an exact experience that was, you know, talked about in the hearing. And yeah, it's really interesting, I guess, to make a really long rambling short. I did want to end off on a fun one though.
Now that we have confirmation that UFOs are indeed in the sky and they are real and we're not crazy, can we talk about the Zimbabwe incident in 1994 where 62 children saw a UFO touchdown on the playground and little men get out of the craft?
In this TikTok from a user named holikela, because of all of these alien sightings that are going around, she talks about a particular UFO sighting at the Ariel School in Zimbabwe back in 1994, where all of the kids who saw a UFO land on the playground at their school drew the exact same thing.
This is the aerial school in Zimbabwe, and in 1994, 62 school children were outside playing when they saw two crafts touch down near their playground, and they saw little men get off of these crafts. Now, they described the little men all the same. Large heads, dark black eyes, slender bodies with tight-fitting uniforms. And then here, look. Staff at the school had all the children draw out what they had seen on the playground that day, and all the children drew very similar pictures. And then on top of that, the children said their mouths didn't move, but they talked to us. I never saw their mouths open, but they were talking to me, and they were telling me about stuff that we're doing to the earth and power that we shouldn't be using. That's a whole nother story, because what they were told is absolutely wild. But again, would you believe 62 children if they all drew the exact same thing? And then the head of psychiatry from Harvard went to Zimbabwe days after the incident happened, so it was still fresh on the kids' memories, and he interviewed each one of them individually, and he came to the conclusion that these kids were not lying. They saw a craft touch down on the playground in Zimbabwe in 1994. The aerial school in Zimbabwe is only 106 miles away from Mount Nyangani, where people go missing all the time, and there's supposedly a UFO base inside of it.
That is so creepy. Those drawings are such nightmare fuel. I think there was like a documentary or something around this, but it's so fascinating. And you guys know my rule of thumb. You believe kids and you believe animals when they see something strange, especially when it's a ton of kids drawing the exact same thing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really love this time of year when I get to do my little compilation videos. So I hope you all enjoy them as well. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I want to say an extra special thank you to my subscribers who are members of the channel. If you want to join the channel memberships and get extra members exclusive perks like members only videos, polls to help me decide on future video topics, and so much more, you can click that little join button somewhere around the screen. We would love to have you. An extra special thank you to my VIP loves for their continued and generous support of the channel. I love and appreciate you all very, very much. I love you all very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.